Yo, how's it going, my fellow revelers? Welcome back to another episode of the Festy Hub podcast. I'm your host, Manny, aka Frisky Hug, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been supporting me since the beginning. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribing to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is under Frisky Hug. I just reached 1K subscribers on YouTube, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but to me, this is like this huge milestone that I've been trying to get over for the longest time. So finally being able to reach that has given me a new level of appreciation for everybody that has been supporting me, who has been just there for me since the beginning, honestly. This has been a really dope journey. Really appreciate everybody who listens to the podcast. I really appreciate all the feedback. All of you guys are just fucking amazing. I swear to God. But yeah, today's episode, we have trap DJ producer from Florida all over really, because he's in Gainesville right now, but he's moving to Orlando. So we got Butler coming into the podcast. I actually met him in Gainesville. He was like also playing for a show that my buddy Protaxi was playing at. And then I bumped into him again over in Tampa. Turns out we have a lot of mutual friends. So I brought him out to the podcast and I was like, hey, man, I just kind of like want to hear your story. Let's talk a little bit. I honestly anticipated like a 45-minute like podcast. Like that's a pretty average, like hour long podcast, right? And when I tell you, I think we went over like 2 hours and I was like, holy shit, like I gotta stop this podcast now. We're just gonna just me and him could have easily just kept going for like another like hour or so. And I was like, oh man, I guess still gotta edit the podcast. I gotta get ready. I gotta pack up. I got EDC Las Vegas coming through. I'm trying to get this episode uploaded in the middle of EDC. I mean, hopefully I can just upload it now so that people on their way to EDC maybe can listen to it. I don't know. This really kind of depends on the my uploading speed and how fast I can go as a human being. I have a flight to catch in like, oh shoot, is that correct? Yeah, I have to catch a flight in like 3 hours. So that might not happen. I'm gonna try my best though. So if you're listening to this and it is Friday, you're in luck because I went faster than I thought. But okay, that is it for the intro of the podcast. If you guys are trying to keep supporting me, or if you guys love this whole series of podcasting and stuff, I really would love like subscribe to the channel on YouTube, give this 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. And honestly, this is also on SoundCloud. So if you are a huge SoundCloud listener, you don't want to pay for like Spotify, you don't want to pay for like Apple Podcasts, you can go ahead and just listen to this for free on SoundCloud. I do have this on SoundCloud. Or if you want to watch the video, it is on YouTube. So I have literally every option for any kind of taste. I gotta say that this podcast episode, it went pretty smooth. In the essence, we're like, man, me and Butler, man, we just like we just had great chemistry, right? And it's like it's just really cool when you talk to somebody where it's like we're just going back and forth, and the conversation, I'm telling you, that it could have just never ended. We could have just kept going all night. But okay, let me know if you guys like this in the comments below. Give me some love and enjoy the podcast episode, guys. All right, my guys, I'd like to welcome Butler to the podcast.
What's up? What's going on?
So, Butler, I mean, I got to meet Butler when we were at fucking Gainesville, I believe. We were at a show. I saw him play for the first time, and after that, actually, I saw him again in Tampa. But that's kind of how I know you. For the people that don't know you, the viewers who have no idea like who you are and stuff like that, how about a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Cade, or Butler. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, most of my life, actually pretty much my entire life. I graduated from the University of Florida. I still live in Gainesville currently. I'm actually moving back to Orlando here in about a month or two, headed back. But yeah, I'm a DJ producer. Let's see what I do. I do trap music normally, do some dubstep every now and then, but that's typically where I float around. Yeah, that's
Are you
basically why
are you mostly trap? Is that what you're getting at?
yeah, trap mostly. I've had that, in college I didn't have like too many opportunities to, like, express that, just because like the college crowd is so like house music and so like, dance tempo.
Yep.
But like as I'm kind of getting out of like the college world, like I'm definitely definitely starting to realize that like trap is definitely my thing, and like even making trap is definitely my
Yeah.
thing.
What's funny, even Revlo was because I had him on the podcast
Yeah.
2 episodes ago, and he said, when he was first starting out, he was big into big room. And he's like,
Mhm.
I didn't even know about dubstep until, until who knows when. He was like, yeah, big room was my shit. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
we
absolutely, dude. And like in college too, like so I started playing like the bars and clubs and stuff like when tech
Mhm.
house was getting really really big, and like obviously these kids didn't want to hear like any of like my crazy stuff, but
uh,
what I was like noticing was I'm like, wow, like this tech house stuff is like really hitting and it's like getting like really really popular. And so for a while, like I thought to myself like maybe I should just stick to the house stuff, like
mhm.
maybe I should just stick to like doing like tech house and like bass house. And I think just doing it enough, like doing the college scene too much, like made me realize like my roots are in trap and like dubstep and like it's just kind of what I grew up on. And like I
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I love house music. Like I love a good, warehouse at 5 a.m. We all do. But like for me personally, like my heart has just always been in like, trap and dubstep. And so far it's been working out. Who knows? Maybe 5 years from now I change that up, do something different. But for
Well,
now,
you were playing based on the market, right? So, um, people don't know this, but there's potential within the college scene. So you were just playing what the college
totally.
kids wanted. I had a guy on the podcast, fucking like I think like 7 episodes ago, and he is huge into the college crowd, and like everybody in college knows him. He doesn't go to college. He fucking graduated like 5 years ago. He's still playing like at college shows because
Yeah.
like that's where he's getting his traction. So
Mhm.
like kudos to you for using what you got. You're cleaning out the environment, and you're the only one using the college scene. Bro, this motherfucker played at a 10,000 person like venue full of just college kids. I'm like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, like you're just using
Mhm.
what you got, man. That's fucking smart, right? You're doing the same exact thing. You were using the college kids, you were playing what they like, tech house, but like now you're like, oh yeah. At this point, you don't have to prove anything. You're gonna just play whatever the fuck you want,
Right.
because there's no point in
Yeah.
playing something like if your heart's not really in it, man. I mean, can you really justify spending this much time,
Oh no,
energy?
totally. And like for me, especially like I'm so blessed to have like a great team around me, like a great
Mhm.
manager.
Well, how about this? Why don't you shout them out right now? Shout everybody on your
Yeah, all
team.
right, sure. Huge shout out to Jack Schuster. He is my manager. He is the owner of Boosted Events. They've thrown a bunch of shows here in Gainesville. He also works for a bunch of other companies, and he's just super, super knowledgeable in what I'm not uh, knowledgeable in, I guess is like the word for it. But we make a great team. He like I make up for what he lacks in like the
Hmm.
music, and he makes up for what I lack in like the business side of it. And he's been super super like real to me so far. He's been super genuine. I had huge shout out to Jack. Who else? Let's see. Graham Denault. Actually, Graham was my little in my fraternity, and now he's like,
Oh shit!
yeah, and now he's like my like little DJ like prodigy.
Yeah.
Um, I cannot write a song unless he's sitting. You
Fuck
can't see
yeah,
me.
bro.
Yeah,
Look,
I can. I
shout out
cannot.
to our friends, man, for
Yeah,
sure.
I cannot finish a song unless he's sitting on the couch right here. And yeah, man, like I'm super super blessed. My girlfriend Katie, she just moved to Savannah. She is a graphics major. She's graduated. She is at SCAD now in Georgia, doing art, doing branding. She does all my covers, all my
Oh
so
man.
so yeah, huge. I'm super super blessed. Both of my parents too, from the jump, have always been like, look, whatever you want to do, and like okay, like as we talk, I'll go more into like my history of music and like
Hmm.
how my parents virtually just said like, hey, like do your thing and like we support you. But yeah, even them too, like my parents, huge shout out for letting me be a idiot EDM kid.
It's funny because like there are a lot of parents that if you were to tell them I want to be a fucking DJ, they would have
Right,
slapped you in the
yeah,
back of the head.
no, yeah, no kidding.
It's so cool to have that kind of support system, though. And I think it goes there's a lot to be said because I mean, I wanted to do this whole when this whole like content creator fucking icon thing that I wanted to do.
Right.
I mean, I got slapped in the back of the head. My mom was like, "You're fucking kidding me, right? Like, there's no money in that." So it wasn't until I started like showing her receipts, I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I'm getting paid to go to these
Right.
festivals." And she's like, "Cause like maybe because I come from like a very Hispanic culture where like if you're not making money, then you're wasting your time, right?" But
Right.
they don't understand. At least the Hispanics don't, right? Hispanics are like, you need to get paid for what you're doing.
Mhm.
But I've grown in a culture where you work towards the money. You don't get it right
Absolutely.
away. You have to get to earn it,
Right.
right? And that's like that's one thing like we've had to learn, and I think it's really cool that your parents off the bat were like, even if you're not making money, as long as you're fucking happy.
Mhm.
And I think that's a lot of parents have to like learn. It's like it's not always about the money, man. It's about
Right.
our mental health and what we want to do and how we want to be perceived in our lifetime. I would hate to live a life that I regretted.
Oh, of course. And like, me especially, it's this like interesting balance because so I just turned what 23. I
Oh, you're so
graduated.
young.
I'm young.
So
I'm
much,
young. I'm young.
so much opportunity
Right,
still
right,
left.
right. And
Oh,
so
I'm so
and
lucky.
so and so right. So my point being though is like I'm so young too. Like it would be a shame if like the next 5-6 years I was just like
Yeah,
miserable. But
exactly.
the flip of that is true where it's like I could spend the next 5-6 years like grinding my ass off, like really trying to pursue this, and then so there's definitely a push and pull to it,
Yeah.
but like as of right now I can't complain. I feel like I'm doing all the right things. Even my like friends who like DJ and produce, like
Hmm.
I've learned so much from them, and like friends who are older, friends who are younger. Like I'll tell you like so one of my like best friends in music is um Leondis, who I'm sure you've heard of. He's like the TikTok maniac kid. Just had like a Chainsmokers remix, which is huge. He's 19, which is like
Wait, he's 19?
he's 19. My brain can hardly even like fathom the fact that he's 19.
Oh, oh my God.
Right, right,
I wish I was who I was when I was 19, man. This
right.
sucks.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so, you know, he's another example of like he's somebody who like I learn from, and then like he
Mhm.
can learn from me, and like we've both experienced life at such like a weird pace that like
Yeah.
we just pick up things off each other. Another like perfect example of that is like Cello, who I'm sure
Ugh,
but he's grown to be like one of my
good kid, man. Yeah.
great kid, one of my like closest friends in music. He's a year or two older than me, and like to see where he's at, at like such a young age, like he's definitely set me up to like learn all these amazing things about like the industry and about life in general. So like, yeah, that's a perfect example of like kids who are older and then kids who are
Mhm.
younger, and how I'm just trying to learn from like all area, like all ages and all
I mean, respect to you, and it's. I mean, the same goes for every type of field within the EDM community, right? And we learn from each other, and it's great when we start to take a step back. Not you per se, but sometimes maybe I guess you within like
hmm
the people. Just like I've had to take steps back and realize that like this isn't a competition, man. We're all in the same piece of shit together.
exactly, yeah.
And the best thing we could do so we could all grow together is teach each other, because there are things that I didn't know that when somebody taught me this, I'm like, bro, like
hmm
you have way less followers than me, and like you're like teaching me some shit. You know what I mean?
exactly, yeah.
So like at some point you have to like humble yourself, and you gotta be like, hey man, let me teach you something, or let me teach you something. Like sometimes you gotta just share the knowledge. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, look, like okay, this sounds so dumb to say, but Mr. Beast, like the huge
Mhm.
guy on like YouTube, he has this quote that like for some of all people too, right? Mr. Beast is the guy that like really resonated with me, which bizarre, but he has this quote where like he said, "Look, like I had 5 friends and we just sat in a room and just grinded learning YouTube for years. We just studied every video. We studied how to basically master YouTube." And he said that like, okay, on average, let's say you make like 20 mistakes a year and you learn like 20 lessons.
Mhm.
Um, if you have like 4 other friends, right, or 5 other friends, like that's multiplied, and you're learning from their mistakes instead of learning from 20 things a year and like 20
Exactly.
lessons. You're learning 100. And
Exactly.
and for me, like in like EDM and like in music and life period, like something that's always been super important to me is having a sense of like community and having a sense of
Yes.
yeah, because for me, like I can't do this on my own. There's been moments in my career, like pretty not recently, but like a year or two ago, where I thought like maybe I should just drop Butler altogether and do like a duo where like I can learn off someone, whatever. What I found out was that like, as I'm growing my like friend group of other DJs and producers, like, at the end of the day, like these kids are like they're kids also, and like they're making the same mistakes, they're having the same like mess ups, and like, that's only helped me. And like it sounds so like morbid to say, but like I'm learning from other people's mess ups, and like,
but it's
that's
great because
it
especially
is.
if they're willing to share that knowledge with you, like, hey, I messed up here, don't do this mistake. They're looking out for you. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
No, totally. And like, to me, that's something that's, that has like really stuck with me. And that's something that's made me just like eternally just grateful for like the people I've met, the shows I've played, like the places I've been, because like, look, I've been pretty blessed to be in like the spot that I'm in, but the reality is it's like, it's Gainesville, Florida. You know what I mean? It's not, it's not Orlando. It's not Tampa. It's not Jacksonville, Miami, whatever. So like, there is room to grow, but it doesn't change the fact that like, I'm going to walk out of Gainesville just so thankful for like everything I've experienced, the good, the bad, everything that like was in between that. Like, it's not going to change the fact that like, I am just not the same person that I was as a DJ.
You leveled up, man.
Of course. Yeah. And that goes for like anything in life, period. Whether it's DJing, whether it's like doing a podcast, blogging, like, like anything, like,
man.
Especially too in like EDM, because there's what's the word for it? There's like a high ceiling for like in the EDM world, like you can do anything. Like you don't have to be an artist. Like there's so many other things. Like arguably, and like this sounds weird to say, in like the EDM world, you're almost like an outcast if you're like an artist. If that makes any sense. Like there's so many other like ways to like.
I don't think you're an outcast. Okay, in my vision, in my eyes, right? I see like the DJs are like the fraternity guys, like
right.
You're part of this clique, like
totally.
Exactly. I'm a DJ too. Like everyone's a DJ, everyone's cool. That's how I perceive like DJs sometimes, because like everybody's a fucking DJ, right? So you're all part of like this this like fraternity and everybody. So like I feel like the outcast because I'm like,
that's fair.
Hi, I'm just the content creator in a room full of DJs. Like,
what's crazy though is like in my head, I feel like DJs make up like 30% of what the EDM community is like all about. And like it goes for like people who actually work in the industry, like, all the backstage stuff, and like, you who like is like doing content all day, every day. Like I feel like DJs only make up like 30 to 40% of that, which is weird.
Is a lot, actually.
Oh yeah, true.
Because if you think about it, only 1% is made up of podcasters. Another like 5% is TikTokers. Another 5% are your regular Instagram content creators. Another 5% of YouTubers. Another like 10% of them are like businesses and brands, vendors, that whole area. Another like 10% is people who actually work in the industry, such as ground control. They do the backstage stuff. So like 30% is a huge number.
That's a good point. Okay, so then like maybe it's like,
no, I think you're in the ballpark. I think
maybe like 30 and then like 70, where it's like it's just kind of all into one category.
Yeah, it is crazy, because I was talking to some of my friends, because they're like, everybody wants to be a bigger part of this industry, in this world, right? And they're like, oh, but like I'm just not very good at DJing. I'm like, bro, neither am I. And they're like, yeah, but I also like don't want to be a content creator like you. I'm like I gotta lay out all the things you could be in this fucking, bro, this is an entire world. You can pick whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Just like in real life, the EDM world is filled with opportunities. And like, then you just gotta find your passion. What do you want to do, man? And one of my buddies ended up, I got him backstage in New York, and I got him to meet the owners of Avant Gardner. And he hits me up. He goes, bro, I am now the Avant Gardner photographer because of you. So I'm like, find the shit you want to do, man.
Number one venue in the world too. Jeez. That's
so
amazing.
Like, he's like, bro, I thank you so fucking much. And I'm like, bro, if there's anything that I could have done for any of my friends, is make sure that they're able to find what they're comfortable in within this community. And if that's something I can help you with, bro, by all means. I'm not trying to just go backstage by myself. I want to introduce all of these opportunities to all of my friends.
Well, look, that brings up a huge point in like my life too, is I'm super passionate on like, you don't need a big audience to make a big impact. And like, I have a ton of friends who are so dead set on like, I want to have like 1 million followers. I want to be
Yeah.
like, which is great. And there's totally like a time and a place for that.
Uh-huh.
But like, I got friends also who are like, I want my 10,000 followers, be super comfortable, but then put on every underground artist and like put on every underground, like to me, like there's a balance to that. There's there's a beauty in like being able to put on like other people and like have a platform and do good for others. Like to me, that is so like powerful, and that's such like a very important thing. And like even me, like look, I'm not the biggest artist on the planet. I'm not even the biggest artist probably in Gainesville. But the fact is like, you know, I can say with like 100% honesty that like I have done my absolute best to like put on for the people that like prove themselves or like who
Mhm.
work as hard as possible. Like to me, that is like such an important thing, and like what I base like my life on. And like, bro, even you too, like I see what you do and the way that you put on for like small artists and like small like not even artists, just people in this world. Like the way you put on for good people like is so inspiring to me. Like to me, that's what it's all about. You're right. It's just like,
It's so funny, man, because before we even hopped on and stuff, there was one thing I wanted to say, and it's so funny that you brought that up because I was thinking before the podcast, I wanted to kind of say why I brought you into the podcast and stuff like that. And in my head, I was like, you're just a good person, man. I like to listen to good people talk, man.
thank you.
And since the day I met you, man, you've been nothing but just a really dope dude, just humble. You've just been great, man. You've just been great, man. Just
Thank you.
now, and I always think that you should always like reward good fucking people because in order to become great in this community, like okay, so like everybody wants to be a fucking DJ, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. But DJing isn't just DJing. You have
Mhm.
to do a lot to become a great producer and DJ and be well known, right? One, obviously you got to make good fucking music. But two, you got to have a personality. You have to
Yeah.
have charisma. You have to have stage presence. And
Yeah.
most importantly, you just got to be a fucking good person. That's all
Mhm.
it fucking takes. Be a good person.
Yeah. This sounds shitty, but like you have to act the part. And like even if
Yeah.
you're not that person, like you have to act the part. And you know, it's funny you say that because it brought me back to like FK 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And I was backstage for like Getter and Space Laces, and just like watching them, I was like so amazed. And Grizz of all people like brushed by me, and he tried to like get up on the stage, and they're like no, like no 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 no. And he's like what, like what the. And so I like tapped him, and I was like, hey man, like why aren't they gonna let you on stage? And of all people, he's like, who cares, it's all good, man, like I get it, like they're just doing their job. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm like, you're about to go play the main stage in an hour and a half,
I
and
know.
you're right, it's crazy. And like you're giving me the time of day, and you're being nice to me after you just got like shit on by the guy who was
He
working the
literally had
backstage.
he had one of like the top 5 sets of the entire weekend, and he
Yeah.
couldn't
And
even get on stage. Like
right.
fuck.
And he was so nice, and like to me that's gonna stick with me. Like every time a Grizz song comes on, I'm gonna think about like, wow, he was such a nice ass dude to me, and he
Just
had no business being nice to me. Like he had just gotten denied on stage. He was about to go play a set. Like he's probably all like worried and nervous. And he gave 5 seconds of his time to be super like genuine to me, and that's
I
like something that
love
will like
Grizz, man.
forever. Yeah.
So, so I used to live in Denver, man. Grizz used to
Mhm.
actually throw shows in the parking lot all the time. Just like,
Oh
hey
yeah,
guys,
yeah, yeah.
free show in the parking lot, just come through. And now when I tell you, man, like if you would only know if you were on Twitter and you were like, oh my God,
Mhm.
he's playing a free show again. And he used to do that shit every month, man. Just free shows. I'm like, bro, I've never seen an artist more times than Grizz just because I live there.
Mhm. Yeah, he's
He's for the
truly like,
people, man. He's definitely for the people.
dude, he is truly like one of a kind. And you know, what's crazy too is like he's not even my genre. But to your point though, right? It's like I yes, I know him for his music, obviously, but I don't know all his music, but I know him because he's like a good guy. And
Yeah.
so to your point, it's like, you know, he's built a brand off being like just a
Hmm.
genuine human, but at the same time, his music is wild. So it's like,
Yeah.
he's the perfect fit for like what you're, talking about.
And it's funny because okay, so we added on about personality and all that stuff, but another thing is we have to also, as content creators, you and I being, we have to move with the times, right? So times
Right.
are changing, and I know there's some DJs that complain that, oh, why can't it be like the old days where I just upload something on Spotify and people just listen to it, and that's why I'm a good
Mhm.
DJ. No, nowadays you have to be more than that, right?
Right.
Social media is huge now, so if you make one mistake, sorry, man, you can't, you can't ruin your
Yeah.
career and then think you're gonna like come back from that. Um, but it's also like you also have to be entertaining sometimes. So like
Absolutely.
Black Tiger Sex Machine, right? Julian, what an amazing TikToker, man. Like,
There, bro. And like, what's nuts too is people don't know that they've been doing this for years, like years and years and years, and then all of a sudden they're given a platform to
yep.
like do this at a higher level, and like now look, now they're like the biggest of the biggest.
Yeah, exactly,
But
man.
they've been at this for years, and like people don't realize that. Like they did a tour in oh god, I think it was 2016,
Mhm.
15-ish. And I think they played somewhere like small in Orlando. Not small, but I think it was like House of Blues, which they just played recently, which I saw you were there. But
I was gonna say, I'm sorry.
but like they like back in the day, like they were just doing small shows and like little things here and there, but they were still like the same like genuine people, and like their branding was still like A+.
Mhm.
But they're given a platform like TikTok, and like and like now that content moves at 1,000 miles per hour,
Oh yeah,
now all of a sudden they're like reaping the benefits of like that like short kind of like quick content.
exactly, man.
Mhm.
I mean, okay, so like Ray Volpe,
Yeah.
you got him doing. He was on YouTube, right?
Mhm.
You got Moonboy. He was on YouTube.
Absolutely.
You got. I mean, Grizz is on TikTok. You
Yeah.
got Lizzie Jane doing TikToks. I mean, a lot of the people are really kind of just doing TikTok. I think Pixel Terror just got on TikTok.
Yeah.
So you got all these. I got Protaxia to get on TikTok. I'm like, bro,
Dude, I was at his house last week being like, you should be on TikTok. You should be doing serum tutorials. You should be doing sound design. You should be
yep.
doing breakdown, like giving him every reason why he should. And then he like turns to me and he's like being like, Cam, obviously he's like very like, he's like to himself, and he's like, like maybe, yeah, maybe. Fast forward a week, he's posting all these TikToks now.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude.
I saw like 2 of his TikToks this week alone. I'm like, bro, about fucking time, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
My theory behind using every platform, and I know it can be exhausting, man. Since we're just really
Yeah,
busy. I mean, we all have fucking things we got going on in our lives, right? But at least try to be on platforms every once in a while, because even if you gain only 1,000 followers off of TikTok, man, that is 1,000
right.
followers that won't listen to your music before. Now they're adding
Exactly,
onto it, right?
exactly. Yeah, and like for me, like my like, okay, I have this argument with Leondis all the time. We argue because he's like he is the TikTok
He's
guy.
always on TikTok.
Right. He is so like we and one thing too that he's awesome at, and I'm sorry for just like shouting him out this whole podcast,
No,
but
you're good. It's actually funny because I thought I saw him at a festival, and I tapped him on the shoulder, and I'm like, hey man, you're not Leandis, are you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's just really awkward. Then I just walked away, and it wasn't him. It was like someone looked like him.
that's so funny. But one thing he's awesome at is he has like a rebuttal for everything. Like even if he like agrees with you, he's the perfect person to like make sure that you're like okay, I'll text him with like a crazy idea and he'll give me a million reasons why like I shouldn't do it, but then he'll text me and be like, no, I think you should do it, like I think it's a great idea. I'm just trying to like make sure you're confident. And like anyway, so the point is, it was like every time we have this argument for TikTok, we just go back and forth all day. He asks me questions, I ask him
Mhm.
questions, and it's good. But what I have like come to realize is like I don't want to be like the TikTok kid, because right now we're in this era of like TikTok where it's like kids are blowing up and it's like, oh, I know him from TikTok.
Yeah.
I kind of want to like be established a little bit and like kind of have like my backing from like bigger artists. I feel like that's like the first step for me.
Mhm.
And that's like and like so far this past year it's been working, but like I feel like for me to like grow within like the EDM like DJ world first is like is like a big deal, and then from there start doing TikTok, and then from there like just nonstop content. And so for me, like I was telling like Alex, like my plan is by the end of the summer, like finally get on TikTok, finally start posting like breakdowns of all my songs and like all this. But like for right now, I'm just gonna like grind
You're
out
just
a bunch of
focusing.
production.
You're
Exactly,
focusing. Yeah.
exactly.
it's not a bad thing to do.
Right. And there's
You're
also
just
no point in doing content if it's like empty. Like I'm sure you see this all the time, but
yeah,
there's people who do content like it feels like they're just like doing it just to be consistent.
just to put content out there.
Right.
Like, so I mean, I used to be more consistent in my content, but I don't want to put a bad video out.
Exactly.
So as long as I like it, it's fine, even if it doesn't get many views. But like I haven't really been posting on TikTok lately, and I think I'm being punished for it. TikTok hasn't really been like throwing my videos out.
Yeah.
And even Instagram, my reels are doing terrible because I have been like slacking. I like slacked on Instagram for like 2 months because I needed a mental break. Just so much
Yeah, of
going on.
course.
I started this podcast, and ever since this podcast, it has consumed a lot of my time.
Oh,
But I'm
absolutely.
very happy about this podcast
Hmm.
because it's making me feel more like almost like I'm making more of a difference through my
Definitely.
podcast
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
than I
Well, look,
was.
here's my take on it is it's like there's pros and cons of both, right?
Yeah,
You can be Mr. Content, be posting every day, and that's great because like you're, showing that you're consistent is going to help your audience.
right.
But there's also something to be said about like, if like if you're not happy with the content you're putting out, then like what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think what you do that's so awesome. Sorry, again, I'm like shouting you out this whole podcast. Sorry, but like
I fucking love you, bro.
sorry, but for you, like what's so awesome is that like you are consistent enough, right? Like you get the job done because like you post 1,000% more than I do, but like your shit's funny. Like the stuff you post is good. Like it's good content. It's like meaningful content. It's engaging, and like you're funny. Like when you want to be funny, you're funny. So
Yeah, exactly.
to me, like that's the recipe. There's definitely pros and cons to both, but at the end of the day, like I personally, it's it just doesn't work for me to just put out empty content because then like
Yeah.
you're leaving your audience guessing versus like if you post something and your audience sees that you posted, it just creates like this bigger, like there's hype around it. There's like an audience for it.
Yeah. My thing is the last thing I want to be is annoying.
Right.
That's just it. I just don't want to be because like yeah, I mean I have an audience and that like when you're a content creator, all you really can rely on is your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my audience, the more I do things, the more meaningful things are. My audience is now like these big verified DJs as well,
Yeah.
like managers and producers. So my audience isn't just viewers, they are also other types of content creators, and I don't want to be annoying to those people because then I'm giving them a reason to like, ooh, like he's not really funny
Right.
anymore, he's just throwing content that's annoying.
Yeah. I think the ultimate goal with that is what you first mentioned about like being happy with like what you're putting out, that obviously being happy is like the number one goal priority, but I think something else that's like important is like being confident in it, if that makes sense. Like yes, you're putting out good content, but you're confident in it that like other big DJs or other people in this community are going to like it also. And like if you show that you're confident, it's going to make your stuff look even better, if that makes any sense.
I mean it's more like quality versus quantity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I have a couple questions and I'm trying to like luckily I haven't forgotten them for the most part. I have like really bad ADD, but like I still have these questions. Okay. Why Butler?
Okay, Butler came from my fraternity, which sounds weird, but I had a pledge class of like 60 kids, and it's just a lot. For reference, it's just a lot of kids to have in like a single pledge class of a fraternity. Shout out to all my brothers and friends at Kappa Sig, but we had a big group of kids who were from Orlando. And so they would like group all of us together, like all the kids who were from Orlando. We had a ton of them. So then like we would be like subdivided into like, like our hometown. So I'm from like Lake Butler, Windermere, Florida. And so like kids would just call me Butler, and like it just stuck. And then like when it came down to it and I was like actually getting really serious about music and getting serious about like producing, I was like, shit, I need a name. I need something quick. And everyone was like, bro, you got to do Butler. And me personally, like, I don't love it. And like, it's funny too, because I know a lot of people who like have like an amazing artist name and they like hate it. And like, I don't hate mine, but like I'm in way too deep. Like I'm in.
Bro, I say the same thing, man. I've always thought about rebranding, and I'm like, bro,
yeah, in too
like,
deep.
I'm in too deep.
In too deep.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Like I could do a whole like Murata, rebrand,
1,000%. Mm-hmm.
but the work that he had to put into that to like change everything up sucks, man. That fucking sucked. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that. And it's like I already made like probably like a good like 500 like jerseys and shirts and
Of
stuff that I given
course.
away, sold.
Yeah. Now what, right? It's like what like it's just garbage now. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Now you're just gonna come up with the name, whereas this one
Right.
had like history, it
Of
had
course. Of
meaning.
course. Yeah, and that's like so like my and like I don't ever really go back to my hometown really like I don't ever visit. So like it doesn't make sense that like my name is Butler, but like at the same time it's so natural now that like
Mhm.
I don't know.
I,
I'm in too deep.
I mean, at this point, you're right, and it's like, okay, we'll just stick with what we got, man. I mean, it's got a story, you know what I mean?
Of
And people,
course, yeah.
and then I guess going back to stories, how long ago like did you like start making music? And then I also want to know like when did you first start raving, and I also want to know when you started listening to EDM.
Oh boy. Oh jeez.
Oh
Okay.
boy, oh boy.
All right, let me let me get a okay. Let me get my timeline straight. I've been listening to EDM my whole life. I was
Wow.
like, dude, I'm just again blessed that like my parents grew up and just like loved music and like, my dad grew up in like the like 80s like club scene
Uh-huh.
in like New York. So like my dad's always loved house music. He's always loved and like,
I hate you, bro, because I'm like that is so fucking
bro, I
badass,
know.
man.
And my mom like worked for HBO for years, so like has always
Mhm.
been involved in like music, entertainment, and so not that they like introduced me to EDM, but like it was just
Yeah.
like music was just a part of like growing up. And for me, especially, like again, it sounds so dumb. It sounds so dumb to even think
No, it
about.
doesn't. Just say it.
The reality is, I really got like into EDM and like really big into like dubstep and stuff through Call of Duty and through like watching like FaZe Clan and like trick shotting and stuff and like hearing like drum step for the first time
Mhm.
and like drum and bass in these like trick shotting videos like made me realize I was like, what is it? Like what is this and like where can I get
Yeah.
more of it? And like and then that eventually like and
So
sorry, go.
just to pause you there, man. Just because we're talking about gaming, I used to be a gamer, man. I had my own clan. Our YouTube channel had 4,000 subscribers. Like we used to play with like I don't know if you know who like Optic Predator is.
Yeah,
Like
of course, of course,
so
of
my
course.
my friend went to school with him. So it was like we were
No
always
way.
yes, like we all played together. Like and it was like I was so far so far in like this like gaming hole. And I used to actually work for Activision.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like,
So then, is there any way, like, you can give me any leaks on the new
no,
COD?
man, that was like
I,
15 years ago or
bro, I
10
need,
years
I
ago,
need some leaks on the new COD coming out.
right?
Look, I mean this so wholeheartedly. I mean this with every ounce of flesh in my body. Okay, if I could quit music and be a pro trick shotter today, I would do it. I would
No,
quit music in
no.
a second, bro. I like. Sorry, I'm nerding out right now, but like love, but like yeah. So I grew up on like watching these kids trick shot and being like,
Mhm.
what is this music? Where can I get more of it? And then I realized like, oh, like this is electronic music. This is like affiliated with like dance and like
Yeah.
whatever. And then that got into like dubstep, and then I was super into like Skrillex and like super like emo, like like that era of like dubstep. And then for me, like I got like introduced to trap music, and like at the time I loved rap. I loved everything about rap, and like
Mhm.
I loved like the beats and like the
I
808s
mean,
and
you love all type of. Yeah, you're very similar to like me, man. I just love all types of music. They're like, I
look,
don't think there's
if
like
it's good
bad music.
music,
Yeah, exactly.
right. If it's good music, like I love it. And so for me,
Yeah.
like I found trap, and I found like, oh geez, like Bauer, Flostradamus, like the
Mhm.
classic guys. And I was like, oh my, I was like, where is like what is this? Like where can I get more of it? And then sure enough, that just evolved and evolved and then now it's now it's like a whole other scale. But like I'll never forget the first trap song I ever heard was Original Dawn by Flostradamus. It was the Major Lazer song that got flipped. Fast forward, and this is actually the first time I've like spoken about this publicly, which is kind of cool. But and yes, I can say this is, but a good friend of mine, Michaki, who I'm sure has popped up on your radar a bit. He's been kind of blowing up recently, but we're doing a remix for it. I got the vocals from it from Floss, which is like just idol of mine, like you know, like the pioneer of trap music, one of my
Yeah.
favorite people the time, and he sent us like a Dropbox of like all the vocals and stuff. So we're doing a 10-year remix of the first trap song I ever heard, which is like crazy full circle moment. That'll be hopefully,
Oh, that's so
yeah,
cool.
hopefully sometime this summer or fall. But it's still in the works. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's how I got like into EDM and stuff. How I got into like producing and DJing was actually kind of late. I always wanted to like DJ, I always wanted to produce, but I was always so caught up in sports and like baseball and stuff. Um, my whole life was baseball and sports. And what's crazy is like, I think because I was kind of born into it, I didn't feel like I could back away from it. It just
Yeah.
like it's just what I knew my whole life. So like, and plus like being in Orlando, I was always surrounded by like the top of the top baseball players always. And so
Yeah, exactly.
if I wasn't one of them, right, or like if I wasn't at least pushing for that goal of being like this, college baseball superstar, like I felt like I was like a failure. And so for me, music was always secondary. And like I have this very, I don't like remember much, but I have this like very vivid memory of like driving on the 408 to like a practice and like looking over and seeing EDC and seeing like the crowd and seeing like the lights and just having like chills down my body, being like, oh my, like that's it, like again, like what is this, where can I get more of it?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like that was like the turning point for me, where I was like, okay, if baseball doesn't work out, and like I like if baseball does not work out, I will know that is a sign from God
Yeah.
that I need to pursue music and DJing full time. Sure enough, I go to Wofford College in South Carolina, small little school, small like D1 school. Played baseball there, and I was miserable. And I was like, I thought it was everything I had ever wanted. The goal of playing baseball was like something I'd always dreamed of, and always something that like, it was my only goal. And so to get there and be like miserable, I was like, damn, like I want to do music, and like I know if I get an opportunity to like pursue music, I'm gonna go crazy with it. So I was like DJing in my like dorm room. Shout out my roommate Clay at Wofford. He was like so like supportive of it, and like again, still to this day, like one of the most important people in my career, even though he had nothing to do with it really. He was just there for me.
Just being supportive and shit.
Right. And like,
because I'll be honest, man, I have friends who weren't supportive of like the things that I wanted to do, man. And it kind of like shows you away from like really pursuing those things, because you're like, oh, like, I don't want to like annoy my friends, and I don't want to like make them feel like, sucks. But at some point I just stopped being friends with them, and I was like, I'm just gonna follow my career path. Here we are fucking 5-7 years later, and I'm still doing the same stupid shit, except I'm getting paid to go to festivals now.
It's crazy. And like for me, if he wasn't, or like if all these people weren't like supportive of me from the jump, I would have just packed it up and just moved on. But that's not how it played out. So what happened was like I got into UF. I transferred. I will never forget this. I actually submitted my UF application in the locker room before practice. Was late to practice, and sure enough, like a few weeks later, I just had a meeting and it was like, look, I'm out of here. Transferred to UF, and then that was that spring, and then that fall, joined my fraternity again. Back to the as dumb as it sounds, like, because there are like a ton of kids who were like in frats and like DJ and think they're like like the next James Hype, right? But
shout out to James Hype though, man.
Huge shout out that he's crazy. I saw him a few weeks ago. He's crazy. Yeah,
good fucking dude.
Point is like, even though like the market of like being a college DJ and like being like a frat DJ is so like everybody's like which is awesome. Like you should want your people to grow and like
yeah, man. And it's funny because I have a lot of like friends that were in frats and they DJ and stuff like that, and it's so like rewarding to see my friends get that much support from their brothers. Right. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
And so for me, like, that's how I got my start. I was playing parties, and then like if we would have like a social or a day function, whatever, like I would DJ at the bar of the club. And then from there, that's how I met all the owners and all the, and then sure enough, from there, it just blew up. And so for me, I made it very known, like from an early age, like in doing this in college, that like, I didn't want to be the frat DJ. and that's cool. There's again, that's awesome. Like that's how I started. That's how everyone else it seems to be starting that. But like I made it very, very known that like, okay, this is not a hobby. And that meant like I had to make sacrifices. I had to cut out the partying, like the drinking. And like for me, like I wasn't even like a big drinker anyway.
Yeah.
So like that wasn't like tough for me. But like, you know, if my friends were going out or doing something, like there were nights where I was like, look, man, like I gotta write music. I gotta practice. I gotta like do the. And then eventually what that led to is like, it just became a part of who I am. It just became my life. Like I woke up and the first thing I was thinking about is Ableton. Like I wasn't.
Isn't it cool? Isn't it crazy how like, okay, so maybe you feel the same way as I felt like this, because when I'm very passionate about the things I'm doing, I can't even sleep. It's like I'm like dreaming about it, and I just have to wake up and I just like do something really quick. So
Of course.
I was very passionate about like some like videos that I'd make and stuff like that. I'd wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, I have to edit this YouTube video like this 1 second, just one clip. Get out of bed, just do this real quick, And then now it's like now with this whole podcasting thing, I'm just so like dedicated. I'm like, oh fuck, it would be great if I had this. Like oh, like what kind of microphone is that fucking girl from Call Her Daddy using? Let me just get the same microphone. So I'm Googling and I'm like getting the same shit. Like I copy my equipment from a lot of like people who I watch and stuff like that, and then that's where like I get my ideas. And sometimes I can't sleep, and sometimes I wake up in the morning and like the first thing I gotta do. I'm like, I've actually woken up in the morning at like super early just to edit a video, bro. I'm like,
oh yeah, definitely, bro. But like that's part of it. Like it gets like yes, it was super hard at first because like. I'm like 20 years old. I'm like at my peak of college. Like I should be just
spending
like
it indoors.
right. Like I should be like this like stud, right?
Yeah.
But instead I was like, you know what? Like all, my like first year, like, okay, I call it my like freshman year, but like my first year at UF, like I told myself, look, like I've been through hell and back the past year and a half with like, baseball and stuff. Like I'm going to like, this is my year to like have fun. Like this is my year to like, I'll DJ a bunch, but like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a hobby for me. And then like, come that summer, come that fall, I was like, okay, it's time to like reevaluate this. It's time to like take, time to step this up a little bit. But then to your point, right? Like it just becomes a part of who you are. And so at first it sucked having to stay up all night, doing like sound design and like making like basses and making leads and synths.
Yeah,
like
you should be out there partying instead of you're soundproofing your room.
right. It's crazy, but you reach a threshold where like it's no longer work. It's just a part of who you are. And then when you step away from that and like, you go on vacation or like you take time off, right? Which is super healthy. Like you should take breaks. You should take time off. I'm a huge like advocate for like taking a step back.
I'm huge for taking like your mental health breaks, man. Like I took one 2 weeks ago. I haven't posted on my podcast for 2 weeks. And I was like, I just need a mental health break. I'm overwhelmed. I have like now that festival's coming back, man, I have all these brands hitting me up and I'm like, oh, I don't have enough time to make this content. Let me pause my podcasting for a second. You're actually my first person back from this break, which is great,
Love that.
No, I thought about you, man. I was like, I gotta hit him up. I got some people that I'm calling. Like, I'm trying to get Marcel to be on the podcast, and he said he would be completely down. Him and Bernzekiel, which is funny how I met them. They, I never met Marcel before, and I was like, I introduced myself to him. He introduced himself as Marcel. He didn't say Cello or nothing, right? And then I'm like, oh, let me add you on Instagram, this and this. He goes, oh, you already follow me. I'm like, this looks nothing like your picture, my guy. And then I thought Bernzekiel was his manager.
It's so funny too because yes, he is like one of my best friends. Like we talk all day every day. That's weird, but we talk all day every day. But he, he's just one of those people where like I've the past year of being like close to him, I've been able to learn so much from him and like again, huge shout out to him. I owe everything to him just because he's been so selfless and like helping me out and like he's given me so much confidence too and like believing in my project and being like, yo, like your stuff's dope. Like like he's really helped me out a bunch and he's been like a great friend. And even Burns too, like I've met Burns a handful of times, but just watching him, and I'm sure you see this, but he'll post that he's like working on music at 7 a.m., like 6 a.m., like, and then he's like music, gym, and then like he's like a full on adult. Like bro has got it figured out. And so I went up to him like a few weeks ago at FK, and I was like, yo, like, how do you, like how do you do this? Like, how do
Yeah.
you wake up and like, and then and like meet in the
Fucking
gym? And he's like, bro, it's it's just it's about being consistent. And like,
yeah, man. Dedication, motivation,
yeah.
consistency, man.
And like for me, like I don't know him that well, but I feel like I do just by like watching his stuff and like, you know, just like learning from him. And so again, sorry that I'm like shouting out all these people, but like
I've actually shouted them out at podcast episodes. They're ready for the podcast. Like, hey, shout out to these people, and like Cell and Brazil have been some of them. So like, don't
oh
even
dude,
sweat it.
huge shout out to them. They are like
Yeah.
they are
Dude, Burns lives down
pioneers.
the street from me.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, he's the homie. In the short time that I've known him, I've just been learning from him,
Yeah.
Through his content and stuff. And then even like Marcel, just like learning about his story and like his journey and stuff. Like,
See, I need to get him on the
inspiring.
podcast so I can listen to his story, man, because like
Yeah,
it's so interesting
he's
hearing
great too.
everybody.
And like honestly, like our little like friend group of like producers and DJs, like we like really want to turn this into like a SD Waterboy, like not to ISO like like we want to take like our group, like our friend group, and like we want to like help each other out. And like literally every day, like we do feedback, we do like we like make like different stupid ideas together, like. And to me, like that's what's so again, it just ties into my old point about like having a sense of like community and a sense of like pride and like your people. Like it pays dividends, and like it really does, like it just helps. And like
No, and that is very understandable. We have content creator group chats
of
where
course, yeah,
we're in the same boat where we're like, we have a YouTuber group chat where all the YouTubers get together.
right,
Hey, let's talk about the algorithm. Hey, like what is the best time to post about this festival? And we're like, hey, you got to post it like the day of. We learn from each other,
yeah,
and it's the same thing, man. And that's why like I know for a fact DJs have their own groups because we have them.
right, of course. And like, okay, I can't tell if you can see it or not, but like this is
Uh-huh.
like a huge whiteboard, and it's let's see the date on it.
See, that's what I need. I need a fucking whiteboard to keep my train of thought somewhere, bro.
So this is like a little more vague and like a little more lofty than that, but this is like a huge whiteboard of like my goals, and it's July 2021 to July this year, which is coming up soon. And it's how many 20 goals. And sorry, I keep like staring at it because I just forget sometimes, but it's 20 goals. Some are like really outlandish, like super big goals that are just like I'm not gonna do, and some are like really really small things. And like one thing that's on there, it's actually number 12, is find your group, like find your people. And literally without me even like pursuing it or me even, and this is also a cool story. I was working the ticket table at an RL Grime show in Gainesville this past fall. And Marcel walked up to the table and was like, "Hi, I'm here. I'm on the guest list." And so I just like stopped him, like, "Oh, you're Cello. Like we have like friends in common, whatever." And then sure enough, like he's like, "Yeah, hit me up. Let's talk, whatever." And that was what, like 8-9 months ago. And now fast forward, now it's like, I can't like, this sounds so weird. Sorry, but I can't like imagine
I fucking
my
love you,
life.
bro.
Yeah, like I can't imagine my life like without these people, without like Nachaki, Cello, Protaxia, Dream like
when you click with certain people, it's
absolutely
natural, bro. You don't force it, and you're just
of
like,
course.
whoa, like I just it's so funny that we're talking about like this because it's like I met this guy last week. Okay, so I work for Radiate, so like
Yeah.
I meet people on Radiate all the time, and I met this dude on Radiate, and I bumped into him just randomly, bro, like at the festival. I'm like, whoa, you're the guy I've been talking to on Radiate, etc., etc. And he goes, yeah. He leaves, comes back to like hang out with me, and my group of like 50 people like adopt him,
Right.
and it was his second festival ever, and he goes, bro, I don't know what it is, man. Like you're just so easy to click with. Like I just like feel like I'm at home. I don't feel judged. I just feel like this. Like I've had other rave groups, and this is like finally I'm like in a rave group where like I feel like this is what Plur actually is. This is what the EDM community is actually like, and everybody else is just like, doing their best. But it's
like I truly, I mean this so wholeheartedly. Like it is so important to find your people.
Yes.
And like I cannot imagine my life without like any of them, because truthfully, like I like Butler exists because of them.
Yeah.
Like they help me with like demos, they help me with feedback, like I'll even like open a project file like on like like on like Discord, and like as I'm working on a song, they're like, do this, and like, but like we do it for each other. Like I've done it for Marcel a bunch of times. I've done it for like Dream Takers, Machaki a bunch of times. Like, like like it's very selfless. It's there's like no ego attached to it. It's just
Yeah.
Like
It's
we're
just being
friends.
genuine. Yeah,
It's
everyone's
being
being
friends,
genuine about their feedback, genuine about their
right?
advice.
And like for
No
me,
malicious
like
intent.
right, and for me too, like one thing I've like learned from you especially is like you don't have to be this like corporate robot all the time talking to people. Like what's important is being friends with them. Like if you want to grow and you want to meet larger artists or like larger like content creators, the reality is like you're not going to be friends with them by being like super. Again, this sounds weird, but I'll explain. But you don't have to be like professional, like, hello, so and so, please take a look at my music, or please take a look at my TikToks, or like be a friend, like be like, yo, I love your stuff, like I would love it if you would like check out, like just be cool. And for me, like that's one thing I've totally learned from you is that like at the end of the day, like we're all people, like we're all just a bunch of bones and muscles, like be a friend. Like you don't have to be like a stranger.
And it's funny because like when the first time I met Marcel, right, I was like, oh, like let's talk on Instagram and stuff like that. He's like, give me your cell phone, man. And he goes in his contacts. He goes, nah, just text me. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, to me, I'm just a stranger. You give me your cell phone number
Right.
too.
It's crazy. Yeah, but
Fucking Marcel, man.
yeah, he's something else, dude. He's the most interesting kid I've ever met in my life.
Jack, speaking of Jack, because you mentioned him earlier,
Yeah.
your manager. It's funny how I met him. I met him at a parking lot. And he
Really?
he goes up to me and goes, "Hey man, are you not that guy that runs a Frisky Hug page, right?" I'm like, I'm like, no, I'm actually Frisky Hug. That's actually my name.
Yeah.
There's no like people. It's just me.
Right.
I'm
It's
a
just
one
you.
person brand.
Mhm.
And he goes, "Oh fuck, dude! Like, dude, I watch your shit all the fucking time." He's like, "Is there somewhere we can hang out, etc.?" I'm like, "Oh
Mhm.
shoot, like yeah, let's definitely hang out more." And then like just seeing him randomly at Gainesville was so
Yeah.
fucking dope, man. It's just like one of those things where like
Yeah.
I think it takes me at least 2 times to see somebody before I'm like, "Oh shoot, like let me put him in my brain."
Of course.
As
Yeah.
somebody of importance, because like for me,
Mhm.
and you probably go through this as well, where you see hundreds of people, sometimes even thousands of people.
Definitely.
I can't differentiate, who I'm supposed to be talking to more. I go based on feeling, right? And I'm
Right.
like, and sometimes the only things I want to feel are being with my friends that I already have, right?
Of
So it's really
course.
hard,
Yeah.
like,
But it's nice when you're able to branch that together, right? When it's like people who you're supposed to be in contact with, they also so happen to be your friends, and
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you talk to them every day, and like, bro, this sounds so again crazy that this is even like a conversation that's being had. But the reality is like the best place, and like this is advice for like any DJ out there, any producer who's like trying to get to like a higher level. The best place to meet DJs is Call of Duty. Like I've played Warzone. Like I don't want to like name drop people and be like weird about it, but I've played Warzone with like some like so like people I thought weren't even reachable, but like they suck at Call of Duty, and I'm like I'm like carrying them the whole game, or like
yeah,
Marcel's carrying them the whole, and like I meet them and like I'm cool with them because like we're just playing Call of Duty.
yeah.
You know what I
And
mean? Like it's not
okay,
like a formal like.
so Revlo, right?
Of course, yeah,
Plasma,
yeah,
those kids, right? So
yeah.
we were in the podcast together, and we literally talked about Call of Duty and how Call of Duty makes us friends. And it's like they
It's the
literally brought
only
that
way.
conversation. They're like, yeah, like me, like drink your water, Plasma, like we've played like Call of Duty
Oh
together, like
yeah,
whatever, and like that's how kind of we all became friends. And I was like, oh shit, like like. And it's crazy because Call of Duty is a huge. Everyone plays it, but not just Call of Duty, but also like I just want to say like video games in general.
yeah,
Like I used to play all the time with Al Ross, like
yeah. Of
just
course,
normally, just
just
saying,
casual. Yeah, it's
just
casual.
kicking each other, like killing people.
Right.
Together. It's weird to say we're just killing people together.
But no, but dude, you're totally right, because like it's not like you're at a festival where like they're getting ready for their set and you just run into them. Like
Right. And I'm
they're
not
probably,
fanboying. I'm not like
bro,
following them
they're
around.
probably like in their boxers in their apartment. Like they're like, it's casual. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing like crazy about it. But to me, like that's when you get like the most genuine reaction from people, and like you can be cool with them and be just like yourself. And then it's like, and then down the road, it's like, oh hey, by the way, I
Yeah.
also make music. Like
Yeah.
that to me is like, that's how it should be. That's
Yeah.
the organic, like, you know.
For me, I think for the most part, it's like I can't really like I always know that you're a fucking DJ. Obviously, I'm in the fucking world of EDM
Right.
that I have
Yeah.
to kind of know who you are already beforehand. For the most part, right? I'm a little bad with faces, I'm a little bad with names, but I try my best. Um, where like I had a podcast with like Sam Wolf, and me and Sam Wolf got pretty
Yep.
close or whatever. And then Sam Wolf one day was like, "Hey man, do you want to just stay at my Airbnb?" And I'm just like, "Okay." So we go to his Airbnb with all his DJ friends and like DJs, some of his close friends, and then me. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm just a content creator. And then he goes, "You want to make some TikToks?" I'm like, "Bro, I'd love to make TikToks. Let's go."
That's so fun. But dude, it's so crazy too because like at the end of the day, like we're blessed to be in this world where like the famous people aren't like famous people, like they're
Yeah,
nerds. Like
yeah,
if you're a DJ and you like do like sound design and stuff, like you sit in your room all day and you play with saw waves and you play with like you're a nerd at the end of the day. So like
hmm
we're so lucky that we're in this world where like there's not really like an ego attached to it.
yeah,
Like you could have like a zillion followers and be, main stage at every festival, but the reality is like you're a person and like you're cool with like there's not like a social ladder attached to it or like a social like status attached to it. Like you're just you. And like if you're lucky enough to be in the spot where like you got a following, you got tours lined up and you got shows lined up, like you're just lucky, man.
yeah. Some people do have to be a little bit humbled, though. It's like
Oh, 1000
there's,
percent.
yeah. Some people are kind of full of themselves, and it's funny because I think I talk about this literally every podcast episode because I've had to learn how to be humble for the most part.
Totally.
And it goes down to the point where like you go from being like a normal person who had nothing going on, and then you were trying to achieve this
Of
goal,
course.
and you finally achieve this goal, and you're just
Right.
really happy, and you just want to express it, and you're just like really grateful. But sometimes being grateful comes out the wrong way, and it becomes a
Totally.
little cocky, right? And it
But
was
that's
like,
also like anything in life. And I think to me, like there's a balance with it where it's like you can't get too high and you can't get too low.
yeah,
And I think the like getting too high, that sounds weird. Like getting too high is like, yeah, is the hardest thing to do because like at the end of the day, like you work so hard, like making content, or like I work
yeah,
so hard doing music. Like you should have a sense of pride and feel accomplished, which is
yeah,
totally the case. But like there's a limit to it. Like you gotta at some point dial it back and like realize like I'm literally in a 12 by 12 apartment, like making trap music in my room. You know what I mean? Like not also I live in Gainesville, Florida, not like, you know what I mean?
bro,
And then
come through, man. You gotta come through one of these
bro,
days,
stay
man.
a month, 2 months, I'm back. I'm back permanently in Orlando. I'm moving in with my parents here shortly, which is gonna stink. It'll be
Fucking
cool.
no,
It'll
they
be
sound
cool.
like amazing fucking people, man.
Oh
Like,
yeah, they're
don't
super supportive.
ever, and it fucking sucks because you think that you're at that point in your life. I'm at that age where I shouldn't live with my parents. And honestly, man, I
Yeah.
love my fucking mom. I'm 30 years old. I don't give a fuck. I'd move with her in an instant.
Bro, I
Most,
was just on the phone with my dad like an hour and a half ago, like right before this. And uh my dad was like, "Oh, like you pumped to move home?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You probably don't want to live with me." And I'm like, "I'd live with you. It'd be cool." So yeah,
they're
I mean,
one
who
of your
knows?
biggest
Yeah,
supporters. I mean, and the thing is, your parents will always be there for any
yeah,
fucking emergency. Like my mom, I know for instance, like if I end up in jail for some stupid shit, like I've been drunk on the street, passed out, and like my mom will come and get me. Like
1000%.
I've been hospitalized in a different state. My mom took the first flight there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Your parents are your biggest supporters and your biggest friends, and like
Yeah.
like, and I think when I was younger, I was more like ashamed of like fuck. I'm 25, living, or I was 24 living with my parents. Like I gotta get out of here. Like, I can't do
Right.
this anymore. But honestly, now that I've gotten older, it's like I don't mind it. Honestly, like I think for at least for me, your parents sound a lot cooler than mine. At least for me, it's like my mom needed time to grow
Of
and
course.
become a cooler person. She
Hmm.
is now a cooler person, so now I'm more accepting with like if I would had to live with her, I just would.
Right.
She's just way more accepting. She watches all my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
She's so supportive of my podcast. I mean, she's like literally one of my biggest supporters. But back in the days, man, it
Hmm.
was like stop ruining your life, stop hanging out with all these naked bitches, blah blah blah. And I'm
Yeah,
just
definitely.
like, you don't get my
Yeah.
life. You don't get me, mom. Like,
Yeah. Well, for me, my biggest thing, I'm not gonna have to do laundry. I'm not gonna have to
I
cook.
know,
I'm not
I
gonna
miss
pay
it.
rent. So you're right. Like there is a pro to it, but at the same time, like I can't be making dubstep at 3 a.m. anymore. Like I gotta kind of be conscious of like,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm not too worried. Like I'm mostly excited because like, you know, like when you graduate, especially from UF, like
Mm.
yes, like I love Gainesville. Gainesville will like forever be my home. But the reality is like, you know, my friends are moving on too. Like my friends are getting corporate jobs all across the country.
Yeah.
Like my people are not going to be in Gainesville anymore. Now, yes, like I still have friends who are younger, whatever. But the reality is like if they're all moving on, like I especially have to move on because like my like my job, right, is based on like my output. Like I have
Mhm.
to be putting out songs. I have to be playing shows. You know, like so for me, it's like I gotta go harder. I gotta do this at a much higher and
Yeah.
like to your point, like, you know, I have to make money. Like, yes, it is very hard to like make money in music, but at the same time, if you're smart, like you can be happy and make a great living doing it. So that's something that I've been trying to balance and like learn how to do.
Okay, so do you have another job? This music is your job?
Actually, I hopefully have a job lined up. I can say this, it's fine, but I'm really hoping I get a job with Insomniac of all people with Insomniac. They're expanding Insomniac East and
Yeah, yeah. So I'm an Insomniac East ambassador.
okay, cool. So then you probably know all about this, but I'm sure you've heard of like the warehouse, like they're moving like a bunch of stuff over from like Vegas and like,
Mhm.
you know, LA. Um, I'm hoping to work there.
Okay.
I've spoken to them before. I ironically enough have an interview next week
Yeah.
for it, which is cool. But yeah, I'm hoping that works out.
Dude,
If not,
I hope it does, man. I mean,
it'd be cool.
yeah, like the only reason, one of the reasons that why I moved to Florida was
Mhm.
because I was gonna be working with Insomniac East, and I haven't paid for a single festival since I've been in Florida.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
And
I'm like, if I could, I
mhm,
took a pay cut, but if I could at least save money on festivals,
of
I
course, it just
mean,
evens out.
balances
Yeah,
out, you know?
of course. And for me, like I had this talk with my manager, and I was like, "Do you think working for Insomniac is going to hurt like my career? Or is it going to help my career? Because like, you know, it very much could hurt my career or help my career.
Mm.
It's just one of those weird scenarios." And he turns to me and he's like, "Are you an idiot?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Working at Insomniac is going to help your career more than working at like Universal or Disney or
Yeah,
working at
exactly, man.
because like you're in the industry, you're meeting and he said like, look,
It's all
like
about networking, my guy.
right, he said like you could make the worst music on the planet, but if you got the right people in your, you know, like in your circle, like you're gonna be given some cool opportunities. He's like if like literally if they offer you a job like cleaning the bathrooms, take it. If
Yeah.
they offer you a job like driving production, take it. He said because like a year from now, 2 years from now, you're gonna be really happy you did. And so like that really encouraged me to like reach out to them and like really pursue this because now by doing that, like I'm gonna be able to like make my work and music like one life versus living a double life where it's like I'm corporate and I'm, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
that's kind
like,
of where I'm at right
yeah,
now. It's like I'm corporate, but I'm also like trying to do this whole EDM thing.
right.
I was trying to do EDM full time, but my lifestyle and the bills that I have, I'm
Yeah,
making money. Like I make a decent amount of money with just EDM stuff alone, right?
right.
Obviously, I'm not a DJ. I can't just show up to a fucking show and get paid like $300, $500 for a
Yeah,
gig, right? I have to do other things such as work with brands, do brand deals,
of
make
course.
content for them, work for Radiate, that kind of stuff. But like that's on the side. I still have to like I that's still not enough money, and I still have to work a corporate job.
Absolutely.
Eventually, I'm hoping that this podcast takes off. It's doing pretty well so
Dude,
far.
that's a good point too, because you know, for me, I was talking to one of the guys who is from Insomniac, and
Mm,
I was because he asked me like, so like, you know, you obviously want to do music, right? Like, is that something you see yourself doing like long term? And I told him like, look, if I'm being honest with you, like, and I feel like this is something that you two can like relate to, but I need a corporate job or like
yeah,
I need to be in something that's not music because like I get burnt out so quick and like I
yeah,
lose ideas really quick and like I get like writer's block like twice a week, which is not healthy. But you know, if I have a job, right, it gives me routine. It gives me a sense of schedule. It gives me a sense of like,
Yes.
and then
You said a sense of schedule, which is very important because I have DJ
mhm,
friends who right now they're like, I gotta put my heart and my soul into music. I'm like, I get that, but you're partying until 6 a.m.
1000%.
Like, well, what does it matter? Like, I get the sense of question, right? Why does it matter, right?
Of
But
course.
you have to remember that 90% of the people in this world revolve around a schedule, right? We
Absolutely.
we wake up at 7, we go to work at 8, we get off at 5, and
Hmm.
we live like it's okay to have a normal schedule because now you're one of us and we're just gonna
Of
do
course.
things together.
And that only pushes you to go harder with whatever it is you're doing, whether it's content, whether it's music. Like for me, I can just roll out like okay, the past like 6 months, because like I was graduated and then had like
Mm,
a few months because my lease was, but I had like 6 months where it was like I just roll out of bed and do music, which is
yeah,
great because like I was making money with DJing and stuff.
yeah,
But to a certain extent, it's like that's not good. Like I want to be hungry. Like I want to be like at my job working super hard
yeah,
and then go home and be like, okay, now it's time to like get creative. And like
yeah.
it's
And it
I
gives you a break,
of
to like.
course, of course. Look, I can't always be Butler. I hate it. I hate when it's like, there's got to be a break attack. And like even like Katie, my girlfriend, huge shout out to her because like without her, and again I have to do 2 years of distance with her because she's in Georgia now. But
Yeah, yeah,
she from day one has always been like, bro, take a break, like let yourself breathe.
yeah,
And I think having a job is gonna allow me to like breathe, which is huge, and it allows me to be like a better like employee, and it also helps me be a better artist. So it can only help, it can't hurt.
yeah. So for me, it's like I could just really use like the money, and then I also
Right,
like the sense of schedule, right?
of
So it
course.
all works out. I do work like 12-hour shifts, which kind of sucks, but like
Yeah.
I have great weekends. I never run out of money. I always have it.
Hmm.
So like if we want to just go do something, I
Right.
just go do it. I don't have a problem. If I don't get a free ticket, I just buy the ticket. It's not a big deal.
Right.
I just want to be able to
Mhm.
enjoy my life while still pursuing my dreams and my goals and not have to worry about
Yeah.
money. Because I know there's some
So
DJs that worry about money. They worry like,
yeah.
oh, $60 to my name. I don't want to be like
Yeah.
that.
So in your case then, for you, like, do you ever find that it's difficult to like take off work for festivals, or is that always just like you're clear?
I've actually so I'm off every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That was part of like
Oh,
what
that's
what
clutch.
yeah,
Super.
yeah.
Yeah.
It took me a while to like find a job for that
Right.
reason. Is I wanted to make sure I had every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, no
Right.
matter what. And then I have PTO, so I could take off like a Monday
Yeah. Yeah.
too,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
But they're like EDC. I'm literally leaving in fuck, I don't know, 6 hours to go to EDC
Goodness
Vegas.
gracious. What?
So I'm leaving like really soon to go to.
What?
Yeah, so I'm gonna
Dude,
EDC.
that's gonna be crazy.
So I'm going. I've been going. This is like my 10th year going,
Right.
and I am only going for 2 days. So
Mhm.
I'm wasting a ticket. I don't really care. I'm just like I've been to so many festivals that it doesn't matter anymore. I just even if I only go for one day, I'm content. I'm
Right.
very happy, man. I got to see my friends. I'm
Mhm.
content, and I think that's what maybe I'm evolving to is just not being so stressed out about making sure that I spend every waking moment at these festivals and
Right.
and going super hard. Fuck,
Mhm.
I go to festivals sober. Like, I got Sunset. Oh, by the way, are you going to Sunset next week?
Yeah, so I'm planning on it. I might have a few like after parties lined up.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to get on guest list or A, which would be sweet. If not, I'm just gonna go and give blood or plasma and make money and then buy a ticket. So that's that's the plan. But yeah, I will be in Tampa.
Yeah, I didn't want to ask anybody for like a guest list because I already got free tickets anyway. So like I don't
Right.
feel.
So that's just too much. It's too much at that point.
Well, I have free tickets to Sunset and Skyline. I'm like,
Oh, that's tough. You do both, right? You can just go
I
back,
was
just jump back and forth.
I was going to, man, but we have an Airbnb at Sunset, and we have
No.
pool parties lined up, and we have all these like things going on. Like, I just want to spend it with
Yeah.
my friends, man. I like Skyline would have been great content because it's the first time me
Yeah.
going to it. It'd be a good YouTube video,
Right. It'd be good. Yeah.
but I just want to spend time with my friends, man. Like,
Oh, so then, interesting question here. Do you go with like a schedule in mind, like as the king of going to these, right? Like, do you go like? There's some cases where you go and
mhm,
you got every stage lined up. You're here, 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 here.
yeah.
Is there some cases where like you're like, I'm just here to be a fan and just kind of go do whatever? Like,
So I will pick 1 or 2 artists out of the entire lineup. That is it.
Yeah.
Those are the only people. Like, I have to see 2 sets. These are my favorite artists. Like Dylan Francis at Sunset. My only have to see. That's it.
Mine was Skrillex, so now I'm free.
No,
I'm free. I'm free. So then for Vegas, like there's so many people. Obviously,
I haven't even seen the lineup for Vegas.
Okay. The art car this year is stacked. The art car in Vegas is stacked.
Dude, I had so the Allegiant stage.
Yeah.
So a Craze just announced. So I had Matthias on the podcast.
Right.
Matthias just got announced as
right.
like
He's
going.
Playing, yeah.
And I was like, bro, this is so badass because I just had him on the podcast.
Right.
It's super really cool hearing his story. And then like I'm gonna have to have him back on again, man, like in a year. And be like, where's your progress? What's going on? I like to catch up. I like to like maybe like do every like 1 or 2 year like catch ups with people.
Yeah,
maybe, like,
of course. Dude, sign me up. I'm there for it.
Bro, that's what I'm saying is like, could you imagine like, okay, I had Cell on the podcast last year, and then this year he's talking about being on the decks with Shaq. You know what I mean? Like we're talking level ups, my guy. That's awesome.
Bro, him and Shaq are like the most insane love story I've ever heard in my life. Again, he's next for you. His story with Shaq is crazy. He could tell you stories for hours about him.
I mean, I mean, we've been texting about getting him on the podcast, and he said he's down. But I mean, a lot of times people are just really busy to kind of like.
He's not busy. Hit him up. He's not busy. I know for a fact. I can text him right now, and he's playing Call of Duty right now. You need to have him on tomorrow.
That's fine. I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna tell him you call him out. Like, hey man, listen. No, I've been wanting to get him on the podcast, and he agreed twice. He agreed twice already.
Just bother him. Bother him.
Yeah. I got a lot of cool people, man, that have agreed to it, and I don't know if maybe I am just so busy that I'm like I don't really like question and stuff like that. Right. I don't know. I kind of just like go with the flow and just ask people at times, but like. People like you, for instance, you had the time and you're like, yeah, cool. Sometimes I get the runaround. I'm like, oh, like I'm really busy right now. Like Lucid, a good friend of mine. And I asked him, hey man, like, you know, you said you'd be in the podcast. Would you be available? This and this. He's like, oh man, I'm just really busy. Like I'm doing a couple of like too many shows this month and next month.
Right.
Can you hit me up in the summer? You know, Lizzie Jane, she was like, hey, I'm like really busy right now. I'm moving to Denver. But if you could like email me, maybe we could do it in a few months. So they always get like the few months run around and like,
of course.
Like I want to make content like this week, like next week.
And like again, it's so funny how like everything we like we're saying just goes back to like an earlier point. But you know, the reality is like for some people, what if it just wasn't like what if you would have gotten like a bad podcast out of it? Like it's just not the right time for them. They're busy. Like to wait for like the quality content.
Yeah. It
shows that like there really is pros and cons to both, like doing like quick content and also doing like more quality based content. Like, but honestly, like just as a fan of like your podcast and like as a fan of you, like you do more than enough. Like you do like you excel at like, again, working a 9 to 5 and also being like an amazing creator. Like I think you got like, sorry for shouting out this.
I appreciate you, bro. I love it. I love hearing that, especially for somebody like you, man. Like I listen to your shit. Like being at your set, bro, at Gainesville was fucking a blessing, man. Just seeing you play. I mean, it was great, man. The fact that like, you know, Jack is your manager. There's like this like full circle moment. I was like, this is so cool, man. And then seeing you with Cello was like, it just kept going. I was like, what is like, we're all attached, you know, and I deal with those moments all the time. I always have like these like, you know, the EDM world is so small moments, you know, and like, it really is like everyone knows each other. So it's like really heartwarming, just like, you know, and like, thank you for the kind words, man. Cause like, it's really nice. Cause I think maybe you can relate to this, but like sometimes we get really down on ourselves. Like, are we not doing enough? Are we not where we want to be yet? Because we're like fucking up, like are people not paying attention? Sometimes you get really down on yourself, and we are our own worst enemies, man. I don't judge anybody as bad as I judge myself, man, all the time.
I could not agree more with that.
I literally talked to my roommate the other day, and I was going through my Instagram posts, and I was like, bro, like my Instagram posts are getting like 200 fucking likes. Like my fucking latest video only got 1,000 views. And I'm like, which is funny because like right below it was another video that had 25K views, and it had like 1,600 likes. And I was like, like what am I doing wrong right now?
Well, look, I'll say this. Nowadays, like the past few months for like any platform that's not TikTok, has been doing really bad. And like across the board, like everyone's just been doing like horrendous numbers. But what I will say, and like, you know, it's the people who don't get down about it. Like it's the people who push through that, like who are finding pockets of like greatness.
Yeah, silver lining on these topics. Yeah.
And like to me too, like there's like a beauty in like there's a beauty in like the struggle. And like even though it sucks, and like even though there's been times where like I've put out music and I feel like I'm my only audience.
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes, man.
Right.
Like,
but
am I the only one watching this podcast?
like my song has 2,000 plays. Did I really listen to it 2,000 times?
Yeah, right.
Right. And so for me, it's like there's a beauty in that though, because like if you like, unless you're confident in yourself and you're confident like in the product that you're pushing out, unless you're confident in that first, who's going to be confident? Like no one else is going to do that for you, right?
One of my friends literally saw me liking my own post, and she was like, "Wait, did you just like your own?
You gotta be your own fan. You gotta be your own fan."
And I'm like, I only upload good shit, so
for real,
I'm gonna like it. I think it's a good.
You
picture.
like it.
I did a good job.
Right. You like it. Why not like it? You know what I mean?
She's like, "You go, King." That's right. Fuck. We if I can't love my own shit, how do I expect you guys to fucking like it?
Yeah, what it doesn't add up. And like that, to me, that's what's so crazy too, is like there's so, and like Cam is like the perfect example of this. Cam is like a wizard producer. He's such like he's a great guy too. I'm like, bro, you just put out an EP, like put out 10 other songs. Like you're saving up so much music like in your vault, like bro.
But if he's not proud of it as well, like you have to be proud of it until it's finalized. Yeah.
You gotta love it.
Like I've uploaded shit where I regret it and I just put it back on private and I'm like, dude, I just don't feel happy about it. Even if you think, oh, it's a good video, I don't feel happy about it.
It's interesting too that you said that, because for me in music at least, I'll have a song finished and I might like it, I might not love it, but I might also think like, okay, it's not the right time. Like this kind of genre or this style is not really popping right now. Like I like this song, but maybe I'll love it 6 months from now. Or like maybe I'll like revisit this idea. And like for me in like my production too, I'm sure you're the same way in content, where it's like you have an idea and it's not hitting, but like 6 months later you're like, perfect. I'm glad I saved this. Like I'm
yeah, man. Yeah, exactly, bro. It's so funny how we save so much content. I have this hard drive full of so many fucking unfinished vlogs and shit that I still like. I'm just like, I'm gonna get to when I get to it. I'm just not feeling the hype right now.
Right. And then maybe in like 6 months, that content would make a great year.
Exactly.
In like it would, like there's a time and place for everything, and especially in music too. Like I have this talk with all my friends who produce. It's like, do I wait and put this out? And then like there's the other half of kids who are like, I'm putting out everything, like boom boom, like I'm going crazy, I'm putting out all this music. And it's like, where do you find that balance?
I get that, but at some point it goes back to what I said a long time ago. It's like, aren't you just being annoying now?
Right. It's too much. And like again, people have such short attention spans nowadays, where it's like if you put out 10 songs in 10 months, bro, they might listen to 7 of them, versus like if you put out 10 songs in like a year, like it gives sort of like a buffer, like
dude, facts. And that's why, like, okay, so my podcasts are usually between like 50 minutes to 2 hours, right? Somewhere around that ballpark. It averages about an hour and 15 minutes on the most for the most part. And I'm like, how do I expect somebody with a 2-minute attention span to fucking watch at least a 1 hour podcast episode? It doesn't happen, right? So in my head, I'm like, so when I get requests all the time, hey, can I be in your podcast? Bro, I get those requests all the time, right? And for me, it's like, I want to have people on the podcast, but is it what I actually want? Is this is it, are we going to talk about a topic that is actually interesting to me?
Right. Or you're just talking to talk at that point.
Yeah. At this point, am I doing the same thing I'm doing with the content, just throwing it out because I have to throw it out?
But do you feel that at a certain extent, right? Like the people who listen to this podcast or who like watch your stuff, I feel like if someone is willing to like watch a podcast and like sit down and actually get engaged with it, like do you feel like that's building like a true audience? Like if you know that they're willing to sit and listen to you, or sit and listen to my dumbass talk about music, Like that's a gauge
Okay.
at like truly
What I've been hearing, right? Because I listen to all the feedback. People send me
right.
feedback all the time, and I listen to all of it and I take it to heart, right? What I get for the most part, if you were able to average all the comments and the feedbacks that I've gotten, is people love the connection that I make with the other person. So this being you, our conversation, our tone, and our like relationship has been very genuine. I'm not faking it. I'm not like you said it perfectly. Like, oh, hello, sir. Like, hey, DJ. We're like, good
Yeah.
seeing you. Good meeting you. Hello, El Roboto. No,
Yeah,
like
literally.
we have been very lax. It's been great. We've made a good connection. We love hearing each other. This is why we're asking questions, because we fucking care,
Yeah.
And then that's
Dude,
what.
I sorry to interrupt, but I could learn more from you than I could even learn from like other artists, because like you're in a whole other sector of like this world that we live in. Like it would be a shame if like I didn't take a step back and actually just like listen and like hear your story and like hear what you have to
Yeah.
say, because I can learn equally from you as I could like the people who I make music with.
Okay. I'm gonna say something then. Something that I brought up with Ian Blaze,
Yeah.
because he said the exact same fucking thing. And one thing that I taught him was I told him, Ian, did you know that you're not using YouTube? And he goes, well, yeah. Why would I use YouTube? I'm like, well, you throw events, so why wouldn't all of the sets at your events be on
Of
YouTube?
course.
He's like, why would I do that? And I said, well, let me bring like an example, right? I'm a YouTuber, so I have like this kind of information where after a festival, I don't go to an after party. I know you throw after parties, but I don't actually go to after parties. I
Right.
go home with 25 of my fucking close friends. We literally just fucking, smoke, drink, we do whatever we fucking do, cuddle puddle, and we watch sets that we were just listening to live.
Yeah.
He goes, wait, like, whoa, people do this? They just go on YouTube and just rewatch the entire fucking night. I'm like,
That's what
yes.
most people do. That like more people are watching it than people who attended it.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, bro, you just gave me like the craziest fucking idea. He's like, I need to
There you
start
go.
recording all of my fucking. So it's like something in his head. He goes, wow, like I need to start recording these
Right.
fucking sets. I'm like, it's your show, bro. Record it. Like,
Bro,
why not?
and like the, this is no knock to Cam at all, but like Cam's not gonna tell him that, right? Like Cam's his artist. Like he's got to hear that from you. No one else is gonna tell him that. So like at the end of the day, like I'd be doing such a disservice myself if I wasn't sitting here like engaged with you and like actually listening to what you or anybody for that matter.
Yeah. It's so funny because, like, you're right. Cam won't say that, right? It's just one, it's very disrespectful, and two, he's learning from Ian, and Ian's
Of
obviously
course.
like managing him, and now Ian has taken him up levels already, right? So, like, grateful to have Ian just there. Luckily, Ian has friends like me where I'm like, I'm just gonna call out bullshit, right? Like,
Of
hey,
course.
like this sucks. I'm gonna call you out on it. Like, and Ian listens, man. He's not one guy that's gonna fight you over,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, unless you really don't know what the fuck you're talking about, which sometimes,
Right. Yeah.
I get it, right? If sometimes you're
Yeah.
just talking bullshit, you're talking bullshit. But like Ian's very receptive to actual criticism, and he's like,
Definitely.
oh, okay, like he understands it, he processes it, and I'm very quick to just be like, hey man, this is what I think you could do better. Could you do better?
Definitely. And that brings up such a funny point. My girlfriend hates EDM, like despises it, right? But she's my first listener because she's used to, sad, she moved, whatever. She used to sit on this couch every day and be like, that's horrendous. Like this makes me want to die.
man,
Like
yeah.
this sounds so bad. And for me, it's like, okay, if she doesn't like it, then like, right? Like, so like to your point too, it's like, you gotta listen to people. Like you can't just be like industry minded where it's like, oh, if like my audience is only industry, whatever. Like you gotta pay attention to like the outside world. And so
Yeah.
to see the way you like interact with Ian too, it's awesome because like he can learn from you, you can learn from him. It's great. It just feels very like cohesive.
And I'm very blessed to have Ian within like my small circle, man.
Yeah.
Love Ian, and like the weird way how we got introduced to each other was we met at a festival, and it's just so cool having him in my close circle, and the fact that he wants to hang out with me, and the fact that I want to hang out with him, and like the only reason I had Plasma, Ruvlo, Drink Your Water, like on the podcast was because Ian allowed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ian's such a huge supporter of me, and he goes, bro, like let me help you achieve your goals too.
Right.
huge supporter. So like he's always helping me level up as well. So like let me return the favor. So I promote for him and stuff. I don't attend 90% of the shows that he literally
Right.
throws. I just want to promote because
Right.
I know it's helping
You
him.
put him on, right? Like you
Yeah.
still like, even though you're not going, like you don't have an ego where it's like, oh, I'm not going, I'm not posting it.
Exactly.
But the
I'm
reality is
still
like
his friend. I'm still gonna post.
right. And that's so important. And that's like, I feel like that's how you grow in this world, is not by like making the best music. Wait, that's important. Music has got to be there. But like, it's not about like the things that you think are the most important. Like my shows have got to be sold out. I got to make the craziest music all the time. I can't give myself any breaks. What's important is just having people around you and just learning, and then having them learn from you, and like creating that kind of like, you know, like that's such an important thing to create. And like that's one thing that I'm kind of upset about like walking away from Gainesville. It's like,
I want you to live here, bro. Bro, I'm telling you, we had a Super Bowl party, and like, fucking Cam was here. We had a bunch of the band here, bro.
Sign me up. I'm there.
Come through, bro.
2 months. Hey, 2 months. I'm there. I promise you.
Yeah, come through, bro. We're always having barbecues and shit, bro. We're
Good.
always yes, man. Just come through, man. It's gonna be great. Plus, I feel like you're gonna be in Tampa a lot.
Yeah,
more than you already are.
You're
gonna be saving on gas.
Sounds like it. But yeah, like I've built this like little DJ empire with like my little in Kappa-Sig, and then like his little, and like, you know, I love it, but I got to move on. It's time for Graham. It's time for him to now step up and like do everything I did. Play 4 nights a week in Gainesville. Open. You know, like I'm washed up here now. I'm the old.
You are not gonna grow being repetitive.
1000%. It's time that it's his turn now. He's going into his junior year. Like he's got to shine now. Like,
and that's how I felt. Moving, okay, so I was in Denver. That's how it felt. I was in Denver for 3 years. I was in El Paso for 3 years. I was in California for a big chunk of my life. So like moving to all these different states, I'm like, oh, I need to go to Florida, and I didn't engage with this crowd. I don't want to be a content creator in my little city. I want to be a worldwide content creator. I want to make sure that people in New York know who I am. I want to be able to go to fucking like well, I already have, but like, let's say, back then I was like, I want to go to Avant Gardner and just walk in and be like, backstage pass, and just give it to me. Like that's what I want. I want to be able to just be known. I want to go to California, and same thing. We fucking got a free table for Yultron. You know what I mean? Like I should just be known. Definitely. That's my goal. My goal isn't to be known at my local club, my local bar. Bro, that is some shit that I was doing without EDM. Like you don't need EDM to be known at your local club. Just go there a lot, buy bottles.
Totally. I totally get that.
I wanted to say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love that your girlfriend is like one of your biggest supporters, and like it put a smile on my face, because I was thinking about how I feel when I truly like love. Aww. It's how I feel when I truly love somebody. I just love seeing how passionate they are. Has nothing to do whether I like it or not. Seeing you happy and smile and just enjoying it makes me want to be there, whether I want to be there or not. It's like, wow, I just like love seeing you smile. I just love seeing you have a good time, and like that's what it's all about, man.
And like her passion is art, right? And like for me, like even though my art is not necessarily her art, like we were in DC and we spent 8 hours in like the National Art Museum, whatever it is, right? Like the National Museum. We spent 8 hours in there. You think I want to look at paintings for 8 hours? No. I actually, there's a zillion things I would rather do. But like we find common, and like this has been like the MO of like the 2 years that like we've been dating, is like we find common ground.
Yeah.
I brought her to EDC. She was in the middle of the crowd for like Blunts and Blondes and was miserable. Bro. But she found common ground with me. Like that, like that's just how we operate. And like it makes me so happy to see her happy, and like it makes her so happy to see me happy. That like I'd be doing her a disservice by not going to go look at art for 8 hours and just be like,
you're just seeing her, like, art.
Yeah, dude, I've learned like all these different like all like pull up like different like cover arts or different like pieces, whatever, and like try to like make conversation like, oh, this is so cool, I love this, and she'll look at it and be like, this is kind of shit, or like she'll play music for me and she's like, this is EDM, I love EDM, and I'm like, bro, that was like 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when Skrillex came up with that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I was like 3 years too late. You know what I mean?
I am actually teaching one of my, my friend who I just met last week at Forbidden Kingdom through radio and all that stuff. Like he's
Right.
very new to raving and stuff. And it's actually like so weird how much I know from like the past and stuff. Like I'm trying to introduce him to like the older stuff. So like,
Yeah.
Eat, Sleep, Rave, Repeat by Fatboy Slim. Like I'm like, because he's never heard of that. And I was like, oh my God,
It's
like I gotta
crazy, right? Yeah.
let me show you some oldies real quick. So like it's not.
This sounds so like naive and rude to say, but it's so crazy that some people don't know this kind of stuff. Like, bro, even Jack, my manager, who's like one of the smartest businessmen I've ever met in my life. Like the kid, he's 22 and the kid is already like a superstar. I was like, we drove from Orlando to Gainesville one day. We were like at a show. I was showing him like all this all this music, and I was like, how do you not know this?
Yeah.
Like, how do you book all these shows, book all these festivals, right? And like, how? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. But like, I think the point that you're getting at is like, it's beautiful to like show people these things, and like it's powerful.
It's almost like history, right? You're like teaching somebody history. It's so cool because like we know this history, they don't, and it's just so cool. Like being like, hey, let me just show you some cool shit from the past,
and you're so passionate about it too that like it like makes you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Like you love it so much that like sharing that love with somebody else is like the best thing ever.
And it's like, okay, so it's like not even about just the music, right? So it's like, when we're talking about the past, we're talking about history. We're also talking about, which is like I'm a huge advocate for, is festival fashion and how it's transitioned. What we used to wear back in the days. So we used to wear, God, what can't I think of the name right now? The hoodies, the spirit hoods. We used to wear spirit hoods. We used to wear leg warmers. We used to wear like all these like stuff, right? And that was the girls. And for the most part, the guys just wore like neon shorts, that was like neon shirts, whatever. And it's like, to transition, I would show like my friend, like, hey, this is like old festival fashion. He goes, wait, people like literally wore all this crap.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's just what we wore, man. It's like, we wore a lot of candy. Like we wore so much candy before. Now it's transitioned to like, we just wear like a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah.
That's all we trade.
It's more like fashion now, but back then it was more about like just like going crazy with it.
Yeah. Now it is very like, how hot and sexy do I look in this? That, like even like for me and stuff, like I really just wear like, this is what I'm gonna wear to one of the days, just very like a really beach theme type of thing for sunset. And then I like to wear like costumes and stuff. So like I'm doing a lifeguard outfit with the homies for sunset, and then like
that's fun. That's really fun.
Just group stuff, group stuff's always fun, man. And then like for countdown, I wore an inflatable like alien that was giving me like a shoulder ride.
I saw that.
I think I saw you, man. I don't know.
Wait, were you like hot in that or no? Wait, I went to that like briefly. So you might have saw me. I was there briefly.
Yeah, I feel like I saw you there, man. There's a fan in there that blows air so it inflates.
Oh, so you were chilling the whole time.
Chilling, yeah.
That's hilarious.
So like, I just like to be funny sometimes, but I think I do that because I'm like looking for like a reaction from my fans when I post the pictures or post the videos.
Content,
it's content for me. Otherwise, if I didn't have to post content, I'd probably just wear all black, honestly, just dress like a DJ.
That's an interesting point. Okay, so I've noticed that like DJs who go to festivals and they're not playing it, like FK, perfect example. Like in the artist tent, right? I was back there and there were all these people like dressed in like what you would assume a DJ would wear, right?
Yeah.
And like I recognize them as DJs because I knew who they were, but I was like, oh, they're not playing. But they all were wearing like DJ attire.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how DJs who just go to festivals, like they still keep the image going. Like
they want. Everyone knows what a DJ looks like. We know what they wear. Yeah. They wear either the fanny pack on the side or they wear like
that is like dude, you hold on. You are literally speaking to like me. Like, hold on, look at this. This is me and Leotrix at FK. And of course
that's all I'm saying, man. We know what DJs look like, man. Everyone wears the same shit, you know? And And okay, so like me being a content creator, like sometimes I get pretty serious about like if I know I'm gonna be backstage and I'm
Right.
networking, I'm doing things like sometimes so I used to do photography for DJs, so like then I
Yeah.
wore all black, whatever. But sometimes when I'm just doing content, I have like a backstage pass. Like I was on stage with AC Slater one time wearing a Cheshire Cat onesie with the whole tail and ears and everything, and I'm literally on the decks with him, just like. And they was like, who let this fucking clown on
Who is
stage?
this? Who is
Who
this
the
guy?
fuck is this guy? I'm like, they don't know who I am, right? For the
Right.
most part, just a couple of people from backstage know who I am. And I'm just like, but for the most part, they're like, this is crazy. There's like this pink cat guy just literally on the decks with AC Slater, like during the ball drop. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, obviously, people like to keep it cool, keep it kosher, and
Yeah.
keep it low key. I'm the opposite of low key, my guy. Like
Gotta go crazy with it. Yep.
I'm gonna be colorful. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna wear something funny. I'm gonna, I'm trying to get a reaction for my YouTube videos.
Right.
For my
And it shows that like you're confident in like you're as a person, but you're also confident in like you're like what you put out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, a lot of times people think that I'm like, okay, let's say I'm in the green room and I'm wearing this like crazy outfit. Let's say I'm wearing an all gold outfit, whatever, right? And face paint, whatever. A lot of the times, man, like teachers are like, oh fuck, like we got like a raver here, like
Yeah.
like oh, they're gonna fanboy this and this. I'm like, oh no, like I've probably like met half of you guys already. I'm not,
Right. Like
it's
me,
like
like you've met me 3 times already.
yeah, but the people that don't know me, like they're like, oh fuck, it's like
Right.
a fanboy or something. And this, I'm like, I'm not fanboying anybody. I'm just being me. I'm here, like because I'm able to
Yeah.
be here
So
for a
then like
reason.
in your case, is there a balance to that too, where it's like if you're going to an event and like you're not going to know that many people, do you like would you like tone it down, or like is there some events where like I know everybody, I don't give a shit, like I'm just going to go, like is that
That's a
normal for you?
very good fucking question, my guy. I think it just depends on my mood. It has nothing to do with the people that are actually there. Sometimes I just feel comfortable wearing like jeans and like maybe like a sudden death shirt or something.
Yeah.
So like it just depends like what I don't know. It has nothing to do with how I'm gonna be perceived, because I don't actually care how I'm perceived, because like,
Yeah.
in my eyes, I'm not trying to be cocky, but I'm trying to feel confident, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
confident enough to just dress however the fuck I want. Sometimes if I'm gonna tone it down on like maybe the hair paint and like the face paint, it's because I don't want. How tired am I gonna be? Am I gonna go home and just go straight to bed and not shower and then it's
Yeah.
near
And
my
then
pillow?
yeah, exactly. And then
So
you wake up and you turn into like Blue Man Group all of a sudden. You're like, well, like when did this go down?
but like and it also depends. Sometimes I don't want to like if I'm being like guest listed, and somebody
Yeah.
there is like serious, like, hey, like, just don't act too crazy. They've already like forewarned me, like, hey, don't act crazy. That
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna be like wearing all black, wearing everything a DJ wears, just to like kind of
Right.
fit in and stuff. And also like if I'm gonna be asking people to be on like the podcast, sometimes I
Right.
don't want to look too crazy, because then it looks like I'm hosting like a clown podcast or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's not about that. I'm like, I'm trying to be a little more professional. So it really depends. But for the most part, it just depends on how I feel.
Yeah.
Um, but
Do you
to-
sorry, go.
I've been toning it down a little bit more lately, though.
Yeah. Do you think though also like, and again, this is just me kind of like imagining myself in your shoes a little bit. Do you think at a certain point it's like it kind of speaks to like how you feel about your fan base as well, that like your fans appreciate you like as a person, like at like who you are, that like you're able to just kind of go crazy like whenever you want? Like do you feel that because your fan base is so like strong and passionate about you, do you feel that you can kind of lean into that by going a bit crazier? Like
I
does that
think
idea ever float around with you?
so I think that like a lot of like my supporters and my followers and just like my online friends and stuff, I think that they follow me and they watch my shit because I'm funny, because I work some really cool stuff, and because honestly, I'm very educational when it comes down to a lot of the content. I like to talk a
Definitely.
lot and I really kind of explain things. A lot of the stuff that I wear is actually branded stuff. A lot of the stuff
Yeah.
I don't even like. I actually didn't buy. I am wearing it for a promotion to show people that there are places you could just buy this clothes. You can
Yeah.
shop here, you can shop there. Um, I think that people don't really watch me for how crazy I'm gonna be. I think they just love me because I'm very honest and
Yeah.
genuine.
You're
I
just
don't
you.
lie.
Yeah.
I don't like to lie about things. I don't like to pretend I'm somebody I'm not. I'm very much myself everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I've never once try to be perceived as somebody I'm not. I don't like
Yeah,
lying to
wait,
people.
that's a good point, because then to a certain extent, like, it's not like you're two people anymore, right? It's not like you're having to like
Yeah.
balance being two people. You're just you, and because you're you, you're able to like monetize off that, and
Yep.
you're able to build like a community because of that.
People ask me all the time, like, oh, like, what's your personal account? Like, that is my personal. My personal
Yeah,
account is Frisky Hug. I
yeah,
have no other accounts.
right.
I literally, my whole family follows me like that. Some of my best friends call me Frisky. Like, my life
Yeah, definitely.
is Frisky Hug. My coworkers were some of my biggest supporters. They bought all my merch. They followed my YouTube channel. They
Definitely.
watch this podcast religiously because they know that from working with me that this is literally who I am. There's no I
It's your
don't
life. Yeah.
there's no switch. There's no,
Yeah. That amazing. And like that's sort of like the battle that I'm at right now, where it's like I am me. Like
yep.
Butler and Cade are not two people. I don't really fake that
Yeah.
ever. But I got to get my content up. I got to get my posts up. I got to get my music up, right? And so it's like
Yeah.
to a certain extent, like I got to work on who I am as a creator. So it's like finding that routine of like, me becoming Butler, like me really making Butler and Cade just a cohesive, like just one thing.
And I think one thing that I kind of like add on to things is I don't really like to talk about like my personal work stuff. Like corporate stuff, I like to leave it out. Not
Yeah.
because like I'm trying to hide what I do for a living. I do post about what I do for a living, stuff like that. And I'm very like genuine about
Yeah.
what I really do. But it's not really like fun to talk about. So I
Yeah.
don't really like to like bore people either.
There's not an audience for it.
But whenever something good happens to your life in that sense, post about it.
You got to talk about it. Yeah.
Let your fans know that that
Yeah.
this is important to you, because they're not following you because you're
Yeah.
like this rave guy. At some point they've been following you for so long that they're
It's you.
it's you. So
Do you feel though? Sorry, I'm.
Go ahead. So you don't.
I have all these questions and idea. Like I'm like every 3 seconds I'm thinking of something new to ask you. I'm just going. Sorry,
Go
but
for
like,
it.
do you think though, like at a certain point, like when you like people appreciate the fact that you post like corporate things too, because like that's like it bridges the gap. Like it makes you more like do you feel when you post like corporate stuff, do you get like a better reaction because like people feel that like it's like real? It's like it's
I like posting about it, but posting about it in situations. So I used to be in the Army. I was in Special Forces, right?
Mhm.
And I got promoted. I posted that promotional picture. I posted it about it, and then people were like, "Whoa!" They're like,
right, yeah,
"Wait a minute, you're in the Army? Wait, you're in Special Force? Wait, who the fuck are you?" Like this
yeah,
and this. I don't hide it. I just never had the right time to talk about it.
yeah,
Now that I got promoted, I want you guys to understand that I'm very happy, and this is why I'm happy, and I'm posting about it now. And then I mean, I get swarmed with DMs when I start
I'm
posting about
sure,
shit
yeah,
that people like it just blindsided by, or I don't talk enough about, right?
definitely.
And
Okay, so then here's like a interesting question then to ask you is like, what have you taken from like military training and just like the military period, and how does that relate to EDM? Like where does that coexist?
it doesn't. It does not coexist at all, my guy.
Really?
I have made it coexist in some way or form by being true to myself. And I took a huge risk by doing that. Well, understand that a lot of military personnel, when they're ravers as well, they keep that a secret. Why? We're not trying to get drug tested every weekend because
that's a good point.
Because I'm at a rave, because I'm a raver.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get my room busted open with dogs and, like it's a huge risk that I took by actually telling all of my military like coworkers and bosses that I'm a raver. Not I'm just a raver, but I'm this huge advocate for men's rave fashion. I'm a YouTuber, I'm a podcaster. Huge risk, right? So we're like, whenever I got drug tested, I'm like, why do they think I was at a rave? You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where like, you have to understand most military people keep raving secret. It's a secret to me. Like I told you, Frisky Hug is my personal account. So there is no, like military account, rave account. We're all in the same person. So I was like, when I decided I was going to take this very seriously, I decided that I was going to take that risk until like if my coworkers told me like, oh, where are you going to do? I pride myself in always being honest. I'm a very honest guy. I don't know how to lie to people, and I'm gonna be very honest. Yeah, I'm going to a rave. I'm going to a music festival. This is what
Yeah,
I'm doing.
definitely.
And I think they were very they love honesty, and they were like very supportive because of that. I wasn't bullshitting. I wasn't lying. I wasn't keeping anything a
Mhm.
secret. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go see, Skrillex or whatever. I'm gonna go to Sunset, get fucked up with my friends. Very like, and you'd be surprised how many people actually love people who are honest to them.
Yeah, and then they might also open up to you because they
And
feel
they
like,
do. One of my
yeah,
boss, bro, he was a major in the army. He was like, we were in the car and he turns on Rufus the Soul. And he was like, I know you love this, right? And he goes, I sure do love some Rufus the Soul, my guy. He's like, can we go to Red Rocks and like go to a rave together? I'm like, I don't know about a rave, man. I actually took 7 captains in the army to Red Rocks for a Millennium show once,
are
though.
you serious?
Yes, bro. And it was
Dude,
like,
Rufus Du Sol is my guilty pleasure. Like and me being the
yeah.
the trap guy, right? Me being the trap.
Love Rufus the Soul, bro. At the Forbidden Kingdom, bro, we literally were watching live sets of Rufus the Soul the entire night.
Dude, I have their album on. I actually have all their albums on vinyl right up
Oh
there.
no, you don't. Can you just go grab that real quick? So people like on YouTube, man, if you're watching this, you're gonna see this shit right now. This is why I love having like a YouTube channel. All right, we're gonna give it a quick sec while he brings it up right here.
Ready?
Fucking badass.
So I have. This was a huge steal for me. This was a big deal. This is a big deal. Okay, I have Bloom, right? This is my favorite one though, because look, it's the special edition.
That's so sick.
And I listen to this every day. Like,
wow, bro, isn't it funny that we just got into that topic and it's just like so random?
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a walking ADHD mess sometimes,
Bro,
but
no, you're good, man. My ADD has haunted
yeah.
me.
Oh yeah. So I actually have a really weird soft spot for like minimal house and like and like I wouldn't even consider Rufus like minimal house. I would they're just them. You know what I mean? Like they're so
I
uniquely
mean,
them.
I just listened to Odessa on the ride to work today. Like I'm just huge on these kind of like these type of tempos when I go to like I just love it and it's very relaxing for me. I don't know.
I have a Louis the Child crown tattooed
Louis
on
the
my
Child,
leg.
great man.
And then look, like this right here.
Mhm.
If you can see, that's them. That's them. I'm a Louis Child freak.
Did you see Louis the Child at EDC Orlando?
I
was there too, man.
I would crazy.
Yeah.
I have a huge thing about I like them. I have all their merch. I have their crown logo tattooed on my leg. But I make trap music. Like it doesn't really add up. It doesn't add up. I can tell you this. I can announce this publicly, which is cool. Me and Leondis, we're gonna start a little. I wouldn't say side project, but we're test running it right now. We're like getting the set ready and getting the songs ready. We're doing like a Louis the Child-esque, like that kind of like 2015 SoundCloud, like future bass style.
Uh-huh.
We're doing like a special set, and it's a 90-minute set, and it's like all that kind of like fun summer-y music. So yeah, we're gonna announce that soon. Hopefully,
That's gonna be sick.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a big deal. We want to test run it a few times, and then towards the end of the year, we have like a big finale planned and like but like again, perfect example. I literally my life is trap music, and I still would rather listen to like Louis the Child, Rufus, Odessa. Like that's just who it's a part of who I am.
So I mean, like we said, man, like I said earlier, like we just love music, my guy. It's just what it is, what it is. I used to actually hate country. I actually love country. You know who got me to love country? Avicii.
Yeah, very good point.
Like, and after that, I was like,
a major risk by doing that. He took a major risk by doing that.
And at that point, I was like, maybe country has more to offer, and I listened to more of it. And you know what I realized, man, is the older I got, the more I cared less what my childhood friends said about music. And now I just want to experience more of it, more different types of it. And I learned that without my friends' opinions, I actually love all types of music.
1000%.
People think that I'm a bass head, right? I actually started listening to big room and bass house. That's actually started with EDM. and then I moved into like bass music later. But people actually think like, oh, you're a bass head because you go to all these bass festivals, this and this. And it's funny because some people in the bass community go, oh, you're a house and techno guy. I just saw you with Green Velvet. You were on stage with him. You were wearing a cat onesie with AC Slater. You love house. I'm like, guys, I love all types of music.
You're an EDM guy.
I'm an EDM guy. I'm a
EDM guy.
I'm a festival content creator. I'm not a bass creator, you know what I mean? So
it just so happens that there's amazing bass shows in Orlando. That's just the bottom line.
Everywhere. I mean everywhere, man. Like I'm gonna go somewhere. I'm just gonna fucking enjoy the music that's being provided. Like, oh, Walker and Royce is playing right now. Let me go see Walker and Royce.
Do you hear that? It's like it's like banging on my door. Hey, go away for a few minutes.
It's actually funny because my roommates are downstairs and they have a really bad habit of just like kicking the fucking door down and like, let's go, bitches. I actually put like signs on my door, like podcast in session, just like,
I need that. I
didn't put it today, and I heard the downstairs. I heard the fucking music being blasted because we host parties here. We have a DJ deck, speakers, we have light shows here. Like we have everything at the house, so we host parties. And it's like, I'm like, fuck, bro, I already know he's gonna start blasting music. Yeah, like I know my boys, man, and they love to be loud.
I know, dude. They actually asked me to live in house at Kappa Sig my sophomore year, and I was like, why would I put myself through that hell? Like, why? Like, first off, unless I have two rooms, or like, unless our rooms are separate, like, I'm a terrible roommate because I'm gonna keep you up all night making music. Like, and also like I have to work. I can't have prime example of what just happened. Like, can't have people kicking down my door all day because like I'm working. I'm like, and especially to live in a fraternity house with 60 of your best friends.
That's rough, man. Right? I don't even know how you did it then, because like how, like, especially if you like you're like a vocalist and you're trying to record vocals. Like,
what
bro,
are you gonna do? Yeah, like what?
So I started this podcast back in Colorado, and I live with 4 roommates and 3 dogs. When I tell you the fucking dogs never stop barking, or like I'm in the middle of an interview, or I'm a guest on a podcast, or I'm recording a TikTok or a video or a YouTube video, and all of a sudden I'm like 40 minutes in, and then it goes like nonstop barking. And at this point, I can't even finish the fucking video. And I'm just like, fuck, I guess I'll just have to do this tomorrow. Like, but like when you're working with brands, like they want this video like now, you know?
Right. There's like time is of the essence. You like get.
It's a paid gig. I'm getting paid for this. Yeah. This isn't like that. I'm working here, you know. I'm like, these dogs have to shut up, but I don't know how to do that without like being rude downstairs. Like, hey, like your dogs are loud. Like I'm really trying to work here. Like, I don't know, man.
So for us in our house, we have keep my 150-ish brothers, 60 people, or like 80 people live in house, 30 rooms, like, and there's like 2 party rooms. Like, where do you find and also like, unless you're incredibly lucky and have a single bedroom, you're sharing a room. So it's like, like I'm going to build a studio in this person's space. Like, no, there's no way.
It's hard. Actually, so this whole thing, this is actually in my room. Like I actually have I like soundproof my room, added all this stuff. Like, honestly, the only thing that's actually here that's mine is just the bed. Everything else is about the podcast. Like like I have so much recording equipment just literally on the floor here. Like there's just so much recording equipment. It's a whole ass studio. I have a ring light still over there. I have a softbox. I have another fucking camera with, I have so much shit here. And I have like, I've had to invest in microphones that are more dynamic because my other microphones are picking up too much noise. And I'm like, fuck, now I have to like get this and I gotta get that.
Right.
My interface isn't good enough. It's picking up the fucking washing machine. Like,
I've been there. I've totally been there.
It's fucking spending a lot of money, man. People think that like, it's funny because people look at like where we're at, right? And it's like, oh, like they're just lucky. They just know who they know. That's part of it, but we've spent also a lot of money on all this equipment.
This huge investment.
Free. Like,
it's a huge investment.
Like this microphone alone is like $150. Like,
now the beauty of becoming an adult now is I can start to write things off, but that can only go so far, and you can only get a certain percentage of that back. But for me, it's like, if you're not investing into your brand and investing into you, like, what, like,
is Butler an LLC, or is that
it's just recently. It just recently is, and was not my call. That was Jack's call. Jack being
smart man,
money guy. So
smart as fuck. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't made Frisky Hug an LLC yet. I need to trademark it and make it an LLC because I mean, believe it or not, man, I make a lot of money through Frisky Hug, and it's like I
Yeah.
can't even like I
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like 1099s through Frisky Hug, and I'm like I
Right.
don't
And
even.
right. And also I feel like for you, it's like you're not rewarding yourself for like the work you're putting in. Cause like at the end of the day, what it is just it's making you more official. It's making you more of
Yep.
like more more of a target for like brands and more of a target for like different festivals and shows because it shows that you're official. Not
Right.
that I'm saying you're not official because you are probably the most official guy
Oh,
in this world. But sorry for oh, I'm
you're so fucking sweet,
off
bro.
on
Just
this
move to Orlando already.
off on this tangent again. Sorry,
Just
but
move to Orlando already.
the point is though, is it makes you that much more of an asset to these companies, and like that's why Jack, like I at first like I told Jack, why can't we push it? I'm only 23, whatever. He's like, no. The time is now. You do this now.
Jack is so smart, man. He's a smart
Smart
fucking
guy.
cookie.
Yeah, very smart guy.
You're headed towards the right path, man. I've definitely enjoyed talking to you, man. I've definitely I
Likewise.
fucking this is it's been a long time coming. I'm like I don't remember when I first messaged you. I think it was like fucking a month ago. I was like, hey, we gotta make this happen.
I
So I'm
was
glad
waiting for it. I was waiting
I
for it. I was like, let's go.
I know I fell into like a 2 week
I
fucking
know.
creator's block, and
Yeah.
I'm like at this point I need a break. So
Yeah.
I gave myself that due break, which is funny that I got out of it right before EDC Vegas.
Yeah. It's like the worst time to do it,
The
right?
worst time to do it. Like I have so much
Literally.
shit due still. I have to like write
I know.
articles for companies right now. Like fuck. I have to do so much right now. Like I owe so many people so much stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell people that I was going through like a weird space at the moment where like I was just not feeling creative, and
Mhm.
I actually tried to do some things, and like I got midway, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. I got anxiety. I'm like, I'm dealing with
Totally
so
been there.
much.
Totally been there.
But where can people find you, man? If you want to go ahead and just
Yeah.
drop down all your handles.
All right. So Instagram, ButlerSound, ButlerSound. SoundCloud, Butler, same thing. Um, gonna be releasing a lot more music this summer, a lot more music this fall, a lot of big collabs in the pipeline from a lot of big guys in Orlando and a lot of you know, household names, which is nice. A lot of shows to the summer that aren't announced yet. But yeah, hopefully soon I'll be pumping out a lot of tracks. So
Do you have a Spotify?
I do, Butler. I can shoot you all the links and all that.
But don't sweat it, man. I'm already gonna do that for you. Don't sweat it, my guy. I got you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it has been great chatting with you. I think we're at a
Of
good two
course.
hour mark. It's a
Look at
it's a
that.
very good 2
Look at
hours,
that,
man.
huh?
So you know what? And what I like to say about like these podcasts, man, is like when it's just like two friends talking, bro. Like we could talk for hours, which
Yeah.
we
I
literally
could
just did.
I could listen. If you want to do an extended 8 hour podcast, hit me up. We'll do this all the whole
You know,
night.
I would do something like that. It'd have to be like a project with like four of
Yeah.
us or something, right? Like
Your hard drive too would be sweating at that
I need
point.
to get a new one anyways. My like 3 terabytes are literally about to expire, and I need to go grab another hard drive.
Jeez.
The amount of content that goes into these things, man, it fills up everything, and like now I have to go get a new one because I'm already almost at my max. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I'd be down. Let's get four of us together, man, and
Let's do it.
we could bust out a good 4 to 5 hour episode, bro. Like it's just
I will be in your city here in very shortly, so we can
we'll,
definitely do it.
we'll make it happen, man. But for all my viewers out there, this episode, I mean, it's gonna be out in a couple days. But this episode is available on Spotify. It's available on SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher if you want it for free. I think SoundCloud's free too, though.
Mhm.
And if you want to watch the actual video, it'll be on YouTube. Frisky Hug on YouTube. And honestly, you'll be able to see the vinyl record that he brought out. So fucking dope. That was so fucking cool. And only people on YouTube will be able to watch that. But like I say in every episode, my guys, until the next one.